Chapter 29. Junior Brother. Are you really not some ancient monster reborn? A rich medicinal fragrance slowly spread from the pill furnace. Yuchen opened the lid calmly. Inside the furnace were 3 round pills glowing faintly with spiritual energy. A satisfied smile appeared on his face. The refinement succeeded. Behind him, Chu Xian stood frozen. Her mind went completely blank. No way. You actually succeeded on your first attempt. That's impossible. She had seen alchemists practice for years just to barely succeed once. Yet Yuchen had simply read a manual and immediately produced pills. Yuchen picked up the pills and examined them carefully. 3 pills total. 1 top grade, 2 high grade. Not bad. Chu Xian nearly choked when she heard that. What did you just say? Say that again. Yuchen blinked. 1 top grade and 2 high grade pills. Chu Xian stared at him as if looking at a monster. Even experienced alchemists rarely produce top grade pills, especially on their first refinement. Yet Yuchen not only succeeded, he produced 1 top-grade pill immediately. This result was unbelievable. Of course, part of the reason was Yuchen's Emperor-level exotic fire, which greatly enhanced the refinement process. Even the best pill furnaces could not compare to such a flame. Chu Xian slowly swallowed. Junior brother, tell me honestly, you aren't some ancient monster reincarnated, right? Yuchen laughed softly. Senior sister, I'm just an ordinary cultivator. Ordinary? Chu Xian almost exploded. You call this ordinary? Continuous refinement. Ignoring Chu Xian's shocked expression, Yuchen continued practicing. He refined several more first-grade medicinal pills. Each attempt succeeded. As his control improved, the quality of the pills increased. Soon every pill produced became top-grade. Chu Xian felt her worldview collapsing. After that, Yuchen began attempting second-grade pills. The difficulty difference between first-grade and second-grade pills was significant. Most alchemists required years of experience to break through this barrier. Yet Yuchen didn't hesitate at all. The pill he chose was the detoxification pill. This second-grade pill could neutralize many poisons and was extremely useful for cultivators traveling outside. Yuchen calmly controlled the flame and refined the herbs. Half an hour later, the pill furnace trembled. Another wave of medicinal fragrance spread through the room. 3 pills appeared again, all of them high-grade. Chu Xian simply stared in silence. She had already stopped reacting. 2 hours later, Yuchen continued refining pills nonstop. First grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade. 2 hours passed before a loud boom echoed from the furnace. Smoke rose from the furnace opening. Yuchen sighed slightly. This one failed. The 5th grade demonic breaking pill should have worked, but my spiritual energy wasn't sufficient to maintain the refinement. He shook his head calmly. It seems my current cultivation is still too low. Chu Xian didn't even know how to respond anymore. Yuchen had just casually stated something unbelievable. He had already become a 4th-grade alchemist on his first day. The 5th-grade pill failed only because his cultivation level couldn't support the energy requirement, not because his alchemy technique was lacking. 4 pills below the 5th grade, his success rate was extremely high and the quality was extraordinary. Chu Xian felt as if she had witnessed a miracle. She had seen geniuses before, but never someone like Yuchen. Yuchen's status panel. Yuchen stretched slightly, feeling relaxed. Then a faint system interface appeared before his eyes. Host, Yuchen. Cultivation, Golden Core Peak. Secondary profession, 4th grade alchemist. Cultivation technique, 9 Nether Divine Demon Art, Emperor grade. Physique, Heavenly Tyrant Body, Emperor grade. Eye technique, Purple Extreme Divine Pupil, Emperor grade. Talent, Perfect talent. Perfect bone structure, perfect comprehension, perfect potential. Martial arts, Heaven Intercepting 9 Swords, perfection. Dragon Shadow Step, perfection. Flower Plucking Finger, perfection. Special items, True Love Goo, Emperor level. Cold Ice Sword Intent, top tier. 9 Netherbone Spirit Fire, Emperor level exotic fire. System evaluation, slightly stronger than a weakling. Yuchen smiled when he saw the last line. The system was still as sarcastic as ever. Chu Xian's decision. Yuchen turned toward Chu Xian. Senior sister, I'm finished refining for now. I'll return to cultivation. He walked back to his room. Chu Xian remained standing there in silence. She looked at the pile of pills on the table. Everything that had happened today felt unreal. After a moment, she pinched her cheek. Ow, it hurt. So it wasn't a dream. Chu Xian quickly collected all the pills into her spatial ring. She knew this secret must never be spread. If the outside world learned that Yuchen became a 4th-grade alchemist in a single day, the entire continent would be shaken, and Yuchen would certainly attract dangerous attention. She decided to report everything to their master later. Meanwhile, Lei family territory. At the same time, far away in the Thunder Domain, the powerful Lei family gathered inside their main hall. As one of the major forces in the region, the Lei family controlled vast territories and had existed for thousands of years. But at this moment, the hall was filled with tension. Lei Tiansheng, the patriarch of the Lei family, slammed the table violently. What did you say? Kemming died inside the secret realm? An elder Lei Yuan was also killed. His eyes burned with anger. Lei Kemming was his second son and one of the most talented young cultivators of the family. At a young age, he had already reached the Soul Realm late stage. His future potential was enormous. Yet now he was dead. One of the elders spoke nervously. Yes, Patriarch. The deacons then explained everything that happened outside the secret realm. When they mentioned Chu Xian, the hall fell silent. Everyone lowered their heads. If the killer had been an ordinary cultivator, the Lei family would have already begun their revenge. But the person responsible was Chu Xian, a direct disciple of Tai Xian sect, a terrifying king realm genius. Offending her meant provoking the entire Tai Xian sect, and the Tai Xian sect was a true overlord-level power. Even if the Lei family gathered all their strength, they could not fight against it. Silence filled the hall. Finally, an elder spoke carefully. Patriarch, should we still seek revenge? Lei Tianqing snorted. Revenge? Do you want the Lei family wiped out? No one spoke again. After a moment, he made a decision. Prepare 5 treasures from the family treasury. Send them to Feiyun City immediately. Offer them to Fairy Chu as compensation. The elders nodded quickly. At this moment, preserving the family was more important than pride. Chapter 30. Midstage Dharma Aspect, returning to the sect. Early the next morning, members of the Lei clan arrived at Feiyun City, carrying valuable gifts. They clearly understood the situation. Offending the Taishian sect would mean the destruction of their entire clan. No family dared to take such a risk. Meanwhile, Yu Qin remained in closed-door cultivation and paid no attention to these matters. Chu Xian, however, clearly understood the Lei clan's intentions. Without hesitation, she accepted the treasures they delivered. Days passed quickly. 20 days later, inside the city lord mansion, suddenly, boom! A powerful vibration shook the courtyard as a massive wave of spiritual qi surged in every direction. Within dozens of meters, the surrounding energy was instantly drained and gathered toward one location. Chu Xian stood outside and sighed in amazement. It seems little junior brother is breaking through again. What monster? After spending more than 20 days with Yu Chun, Chu Xian felt she had experienced more shock than the previous several decades of her life. His cultivation speed was simply unreasonable. Just as she finished speaking, bang! The door of Yu Chen's room slowly opened. Yu Chen walked out calmly, wearing a white robe. A relaxed smile appeared on his face as he stretched and breathed in the fresh air. Midstage Dharma Aspect Realm, not bad. Yes, Yu Chun had successfully stepped into the middle stage of the Dharma Aspect Realm, and his strength had increased significantly once again. 10 days earlier, he had already advanced from Golden Core Realm to the early stage of Dharma Aspect Realm, and within just 10 more days, he broke through once again. This kind of cultivation speed could only be described as terrifying. Not only that, Yu Chen's other abilities had also improved greatly. His physique was incredibly powerful. Possessing the heavenly tyrant body, an extremely rare constitution, his physical strength alone could rival a peak Dharma aspect cultivator even without special training. His spiritual sense had also grown tremendously. After cultivating the divine sense condensation technique, his perception was already comparable to that of an early Heavenly Gang realm expert. In addition, Yu Chun had mastered many combat techniques and martial arts, making his battle ability extremely versatile. Chu Xian looked at him with disbelief. Junior brother, you broke through again? Yu Chen chuckled. Just a small improvement to the mid-stage Dharma aspect realm. He spoke as if it were nothing. Chu Xian opened her mouth, but didn't know what to say. His talent was simply too abnormal. After a moment, Yu Chen looked at her curiously. Senior sister, are you about to break through to the Emperor realm? Chu Xian nodded with a smile. That's right. I've stayed at the Peak King realm for quite some time. I'm only one step away from the Emperor realm. She paused before continuing. I plan to return to the sect and break through there. Her eyes showed a trace of gratitude. Thanks to the 9 revolutions royal pill you gave me, my chances of success increased greatly. Otherwise, I would have needed much longer preparation. Breaking through from King Realm to Emperor Realm was a massive hurdle. If the breakthrough failed, the cultivator could suffer severe backlash. Even someone as powerful as Chu Xian did not dare attempt it recklessly. But with Yu Chen's pill increasing the success rate by half, she finally had enough confidence. Yu Chen smiled. That's great, senior sister. Once you enter the Emperor Realm, your strength will rise dramatically. An Emperor Realm expert could already rival the elders of Tai Xian sect. If Chu Xian succeeded, her status would become extremely high within the sect. The only people stronger than her would be the Peak Masters, who were all supreme realm powerhouses. Chu Xian laughed lightly. But compared to our senior sister, I'm still far behind. When mentioning that person, admiration appeared in her eyes. Within the Tai Xian sect, their eldest senior sister was someone Chu Xian truly respected. Her cultivation talent was astonishing, and her combat strength was terrifying. Yu Chen had only seen her once when he first entered Lingyun Peak. Even from that brief meeting, he could tell she was extraordinary. Senior sister hasn't returned to the sect for a long time, Yu Chen said thoughtfully. Chu Xian nodded. She is currently in a secret realm battlefield preparing to break through to the Supreme Realm, so she probably won't return anytime soon. Yu Chen understood and nodded. After a moment, Chu Xian spoke again. Junior brother, the outer sect competition will start in 3 days. We'll return to the sect in 2 days. She looked at him with a confident smile. With your strength, winning first place should be effortless. Yu Chen smiled but didn't deny it. After all, he had already killed Lei Kemming, a soul realm cultivator, along with dozens of other enemies earlier. Now that he had reached the mid-stage Dharma aspect realm, his combat power had increased even more. For him, defeating outer disciples would not be difficult. Winning first place meant obtaining a chance to enter the Tai Xian sect Forbidden Land. That place was the true foundation of the entire sect. Even inner disciples, core disciples, and true disciples coveted that opportunity. 2 days later, Yu Chen and Chu Xian boarded a spirit boat and began their journey back to Tai Xian sect. As the massive flying vessel cut through the sky, Yu Chen felt a strange sense of unease, because his master's cultivation had likely fully recovered. After consuming the saint-breaking pill he gave her, she might have advanced even further. If that were true, controlling his master like before would be impossible. In fact, there was a high chance that he would be the one controlled instead. Yu Chen sighed helplessly. Master shouldn't take revenge on such a cute and obedient disciple, right? Although his master had the true love goo within her body and could never harm him seriously, minor revenge was very likely. After all, Yu Chen had teased and bullied her quite a lot before. For someone as proud as her, how could she swallow that anger easily? Yu Chen rubbed his forehead. This is bad, but he knew he couldn't avoid it forever. Sooner or later, he had to face her. Even if he tried to hide outside, his master would personally come and drag him back. Beside him, Chu Xian noticed his strange expression. Junior brother, what are you thinking about? We're about to return to the sect and see master. Aren't you happy? Yu Chen forced a smile. Yes, extremely happy. Chu Xian laughed. I knew it. Your relationship with master is so good. Yu Chen fell silent. Good relationship? Well, maybe. The spirit boat gradually approached Tai Xian sect. Soon, the towering peaks of the sect appeared before them. Yu Chen immediately spotted Lingyun Peak, and standing on the peak was his master. She looked toward the approaching spirit boat with a faint smile on her face. The moment Yu Chen saw that smile, his heart skipped a beat. It's over. Chapter 31. Master, don't you feel guilty? The spirit boat slowly descended onto the platform of Tai Xian sect. Yu Chen and Chu Xian stepped off together. Standing ahead of them was their master, Gu Shiran. Today she wore a flowing cyan silk dress. Her fair skin looked flawless under the sunlight, and a gentle smile rested on her lips. Her long, slender legs and elegant posture made her look like a celestial fairy descending to the mortal world. Even Yu Chen couldn't help swallowing slightly before taking a small step backward. Chu Xian stepped forward first and bowed respectfully. Master. Gu Shiran nodded with a warm smile. Good. It seems your trip was not wasted. Her gaze then shifted toward Yu Chen. The smile on her face slowly widened. Yu Chen, your master is standing here, yet you're hiding behind. Are you unhappy to see me? Yu Chen's expression stiffened slightly when he saw that smile. Cough. He immediately stepped forward and changed his tone. How could that be? Master, I missed you so much. This past month without you felt incredibly long. He even forced out a few emotional sniffles. Chu Xian, who stood beside them, felt deeply moved. Junior brother truly respects master. Such loyalty and sincerity were rare among disciples. Gu Shiran, however, remained silent and simply watched Yu Chen's performance. After dealing with this troublesome disciple for so long, she already understood his personality. Not a single word from him could be fully trusted. Is that so? She asked calmly. Since you miss me that much, tonight your master will personally guide your cultivation. She said it with a bright smile. Yu Chen instantly felt a chill run down his spine. Damn, this is bad. Now that Gu Shiran had recovered her cultivation, she clearly planned to settle old accounts. Yu Chen quickly waved his hands. Master, tomorrow is the outer set competition. I should focus on preparing. There's no need to trouble you tonight. Gu Shiran raised an eyebrow. That's exactly why I should train you tonight. Yu Chen fell silent. Something about that training sounded extremely dangerous. Of course, Yuchen knew Gu Shiran would never allow him to treat her the same way as before. But refusing probably wasn't an option either. With Gu Shiran's supreme realm cultivation, even if he tried hiding, she could simply appear in his room in the middle of the night. That situation might be even worse. Yu Chun sighed inwardly. This is really troublesome. Meanwhile, Chu Xian watched the interaction with admiration. A caring master, a devoted disciple. This was the spirit of Ling Yun Peak. Gu Shiran then turned to Chu Xian. Xianer, how long will you remain in the sect this time? Chu Xian smiled slightly. Master, I plan to stay until I break through to the Emperor realm. Gu Shiran was surprised. You only recently reached the Peak King realm. Breaking through so soon may be risky. Perhaps you should temper your cultivation a little longer. Chu Xian laughed softly. That was my plan at first. But junior brother obtained a 9 revolutions royal pill in a secret realm and gave it to me. With that pill, the success rate of breaking into the Emperor realm increases by 50%. Gu Shiran blinked in surprise. That brat again? A month earlier, Yu Chun had casually handed her a pill capable of helping someone break into the Saint realm. Now he had given Chu Xian such a rare treasure without hesitation. Although he was troublesome and shameless, he was indeed generous toward those he cared about. Gu Shiran nodded approvingly. Very well. Prepare carefully for your breakthrough. After chatting for a while longer, the 3 of them returned to their respective residences. Night. Under the quiet moonlight, Yu Chun cautiously walked into Gu Shiran's immortal cave residence. Inside the room, Gu Shiran lay lazily on the bed. Her clothing was light and comfortable, and her long hair spread across the pillow like black silk. When she saw Yu Chun enter, her eyes immediately focused on him. You finally came, she said slowly. Your master has waited a long time for this moment. Yu Chun felt uneasy hearing the resentment in her tone. Suddenly, Gu Shiran stood up and appeared in front of him in an instant. A powerful aura filled the room. This was the pressure of a supreme realm expert. No matter how talented Yu Chun was, he had no chance to resist against such strength. Yu Chun coughed awkwardly. Master, what are you talking about? Your disciple doesn't understand. Gu Shiran smiled faintly. You don't understand? Then your master will help you remember. Before Yu Chun could react, thud, she lightly kicked him, sending him stumbling onto the ground. Come here, she said calmly. Kneel. Yu Chun froze. What? But when he saw the look in Gu Shiran's eyes, he quickly gave up arguing. Moments later, he obediently knelt. Gu Shiran waved her hand. A thin rattan whip appeared in her grasp. Smack! The whip landed on Yu Chen's back. Although she didn't use spiritual energy, the strike still hurt enough to make him grimace. Shameless disciple. That's punishment for everything you did before. You dared to bully your own master. I won't let you off easily today. Gu Shiran spoke while striking him several times. All the frustration she had held inside for so long finally found an outlet. Back then, she had been powerless. But now things were different. Her cultivation had fully recovered. Now it was her turn to discipline this troublesome disciple. After several strikes, however, Yu Chen's exaggerated cries suddenly made her hesitate. For some reason, the whip paused in midair. Perhaps it was the influence of the true love Gu, or perhaps her own emotions had softened. Either way, she suddenly couldn't bring herself to strike again. At that moment, a familiar voice sounded inside Yu Chen's mind. Ding! System detected that the master's heart is softening. Option 1. Endure another 100 strikes bravely. Reward. Physical body strength doubled. Option 2. Say, Master, don't you feel guilty? And trigger Gu Shiran's guilt. Reward. 1 dragon egg. Yu Chen blinked. Dragon egg? His eyes lit up immediately. Chapter 32. Master, I'm really hurt. Yu Chen almost laughed when he saw the system options. What kind of choice is this? One option meant enduring another 100 strikes. The other meant avoiding the beating entirely and getting a dragon egg as a reward. Even a fool would know what to pick. System, I choose option 2. Just then, smack! Gu Shiran's whip struck him once more. Yu Chun immediately cried out dramatically and then collapsed to the ground, pretending to lose consciousness. Gu Shiran froze. What happened? Yu Chun, are you alright? She instantly threw the rattan whip aside and rushed forward in panic. Kneeling beside him, she carefully lifted him into her arms. Seeing Yu Chun lying there motionless, Gu Shiran's heart began to race with worry. You troublesome disciple, what's wrong with you? Are you injured somewhere? Speak to me. Her usually calm voice now carried a trace of anxiety. After a moment, Yu Chun slowly opened his eyes as if struggling to stay conscious. Master, it hurts. His weak voice sounded as if he had suffered a serious injury. Gu Shiran's expression immediately changed. How could this happen? I didn't even use any spiritual power. Then realization struck her. Yu Chen's cultivation was only at the Dharma aspect realm, while she had already recovered to the supreme realm. Even without using spiritual energy, the difference in strength between them was enormous. A strike from her might truly be too much for him. Guilt quickly filled her heart. What was I thinking? He's still my disciple. Why did I act so harshly? Yu-chan might behave shamelessly at times, but he had always treated her well. The saint-breaking pill he gave her before was a priceless treasure, yet he handed it over without hesitation. And now she had beaten him like this. Gu Shiran suddenly felt ashamed. I'm sorry, Yu-chan. I shouldn't have done that. She spoke softly. Yu-chan looked at her weakly. Master, then promise you won't hit me again. Gu Shiran nodded immediately. All right, I promise. Yu-chan blinked pitifully. Master, can you hug me for a while? Gu Shiran paused. Hug. She hesitated for a moment, but seeing Yu-chan's pale expression, she couldn't bring herself to refuse. After all, she had already scolded and punished him. A simple hug wasn't a big deal. Fine. She gently leaned closer and held him. Yu-chan instantly felt extremely satisfied. In truth, the strike earlier hadn't hurt him much at all. With a heavenly tyrant body, his powerful physique could easily withstand such punishment. He had simply been acting. After spending so long with Gu Shiran, he understood her personality well. She might appear strict and proud, but deep down she was soft-hearted. As long as he looked pitiful enough, she would definitely feel guilty. Yu-chan, do you feel better now? She asked softly. Yu-chan nodded slowly. Still a little pain? Master, can I stay here tonight? I just want to rest beside you. Gu Shiran's face instantly turned slightly red. Memories of previous embarrassing situations flashed through her mind. This disciple really knew how to cause trouble. No, she refused instinctively. Yu-chan sighed pitifully. I promise I won't do anything. I only want to stay near Master. Gu Shiran hesitated. For some reason, she found it difficult to refuse again. Perhaps it was the influence of the true love Gu, or perhaps she simply felt too guilty after hurting him earlier. After a moment, she sighed. Fine, but you must behave tonight. If you cause trouble, I'll throw you out immediately. Yu-chan's eyes lit up. Thank you, Master. That night, Yu-chan remained inside Gu Shiran's chamber. Unlike the past, he had once taken advantage of her weakened state. But now Gu Shiran had fully recovered her cultivation. Reaching this situation again required quite a bit of shameless persistence. Yu-chan smiled inwardly. Master really is too kind. Just then, the system's voice sounded in his mind. Ding! Congratulations, host. Reward obtained. Dragon egg. Item has been stored in the spatial ring. Yu-chan ignored it for the moment and simply rested quietly beside Gu Shiran. The famous fairy Gu, admired by countless cultivators in Taishian's sect, was now right beside him. If others discovered this, they would probably be stunned. That night Yu-chan behaved surprisingly well. Not because he lacked courage, but because Gu Shiran was a peak Supreme Realm expert. If he dared misbehave, he might actually get beaten half to death. The next morning, Yu-chan woke up feeling refreshed. A faint fragrance lingered around him, the scent belonging to Gu Shiran. Today was the day of the outer sect competition. This year's competition was far grander than usual. Not only would the sect master personally attend, but even the peak masters of the 9 peaks would appear. The reason was simple. The champion would gain the chance to enter the Taishian sect Forbidden Land. That place contained the sect's deepest secrets. Every disciple dreamed of entering it. If someone could win first place, they would immediately become famous throughout the sect. After leaving Gu Shiran's residence, Yu-chan encountered Chu Xian. Good morning, senior sister. Yu-chan greeted her cheerfully. Chu Xian smiled back. But as she approached, she suddenly frowned slightly. Junior brother, why do you smell like Master's fragrance? Yu-chan froze. She noticed that too. He quickly coughed awkwardly. Master guided my cultivation last night. It must be the lingering scent. Chu Xian nodded without suspicion. That makes sense. After all, who would believe Yu-chan had actually slept beside Gu Shiran? In Chu Xian's mind, their relationship was simply that of a caring master and devoted disciple. Such an outrageous idea never crossed her mind. The competition is about to start, Chu Xian said. Shall we go together? Yu-chan smiled. Of course. The two walked toward the training arena together. At this moment, the massive arena was already filled with disciples. More than 3,000 outer sect disciples had gathered. Everyone hoped to achieve a good ranking. Even reaching the top 100 would bring significant rewards from a sect. Therefore, the competition was extremely important. Meanwhile, in another corner of the arena, a young man stood with his arms crossed. His name was Li Yunfei. He spoke calmly. Are the preparations complete? Another disciple beside him grinned coldly. Don't worry, senior brother. Everything has been arranged. This time, that Yu-chan won't leave the arena alive. Chapter 33. Troublesome Disciple. Be careful. Wang Shaokai grinned flatteringly as he spoke. Senior brotherly, everything has been arranged. This time I contacted the top 10 outer sect disciples and promised them generous rewards. As long as they eliminate Yu-chan during the competition, they'll receive a large amount of cultivation resources. The top 10 outer disciples belonged to different peaks. Although their status sounded impressive, they were still far below true disciples in both strength and resources. Because of that, when Wang Xiaokai offered them enough benefits, none of them refused. Li Yunfei nodded with satisfaction. Well done. He smiled coldly. The first round of the competition takes place inside a secret realm, correct? Wang Xiaokai nodded. Yes, senior brother. Li Yunfei's smile became even colder. Perfect. If Yu Chun dies inside the secret realm, no one will suspect anything. With the top 10 outer disciples joining forces, that brat won't survive. Meanwhile, Chu Xian walked beside Yu Chun near the arena. Junior brother, there are many participants today, but with your strength, passing the competition shouldn't be difficult. She spoke with confidence. Then she added seriously, however, there's one person you should pay attention to. The sect master's personal disciple, Shun Qingyuan. Yu Chun heard the name, but simply nodded casually. He didn't take it seriously at all. Shun Qingyuan possessed a saint-grade physique, something considered extremely rare. Such talent almost guaranteed reaching the saint realm in the future, which was why Tai Xian sect valued him so highly. But compared with Yu Chun, a saint-grade physique meant nothing. Yu Chun possessed far more terrifying advantages. The heavenly tyrant body, a powerful immortal-level physique. The mysterious emperor-grade exotic flame. His incredible cultivation talent. And a strange, purple extreme immortal eyes. Not to mention the dragon egg he had just obtained. Any one of these treasures would shake the entire continent if revealed. Compared to that, a saint-grade physique was insignificant. Yu Chun smiled calmly. Don't worry, senior sister. Chu Xian nodded after seeing his confident expression. She trusted him completely. Soon, the arena became crowded. Thousands of outer disciples gathered together. Even the sect master and the peak masters of the 9 peaks had arrived. Many inner disciples, core disciples, and even true disciples came to watch the competition. This outer sect competition had become the biggest event in Taishan sect in years. The reason was simple. The champion would receive the opportunity to enter the forbidden land of Taishan sect. That place contained the sect's greatest secrets. Almost every disciple dreamed of entering it. On the high platform, the sect master, Mo Ming, slowly stood up. His voice echoed throughout the arena. Today marks the beginning of the Taishan sect outer sect competition. The moment he spoke, the entire venue fell silent. Countless disciples looked at him with admiration. Mo Ming was not only the sect master, but also a saint realm powerhouse, the pillar supporting the entire sect. The disciple who wins first place will gain the chance to enter the forbidden land. I hope everyone performs to their fullest ability. After a short pause, he raised his hand. I now declare, the competition begins. The arena erupted instantly with excitement. The first round was a survival competition inside a secret realm. As one of the strongest sects on the continent, Taishan sect possessed several small worlds used for training. The outer disciples would enter one of these realms. Inside the secret realm lived numerous demonic beasts. Participants needed to hunt these beasts and collect their inner cores. Points would be awarded based on the beast's strength. At the end of the trial, only the top 100 disciples would advance. Out of thousands of participants, only 100 could survive the first round. It was extremely ruthless. Chu Xian smiled at Yu Chun. Good luck, junior brother. Yu Chun nodded. I'll see you after I finish. Then he walked toward the entrance of the secret realm. On the viewing platform, Gu Shiran sat quietly. Her gaze followed Yu Chun the entire time. Only after he stepped into the portal did she look away. She murmured softly, troublesome disciple, be careful. Even though she knew Yu Chun's strength well, she couldn't stop worrying. Inside the secret realm, Yu Chun appeared inside a vast forest. Ancient trees towered over 100 meters tall. The air was thick with the scent of demonic beasts. So this is the secret realm. He smiled slightly. According to the rules, the first round lasted 1 day. Points were awarded like this. Tier 1 demonic beast. Early stage 1 point. Middle stage 2 points. Late stage 5 points. Tier 2 demonic beast. Early stage 10 points. Middle stage 20 points. Late stage 30 points. Tier 3 demonic beast. Early stage 50 points. Middle stage 100 points. Late stage 200 points. Tier 4 demonic beast. Early stage 500 points. Middle stage 1000 points. Late stage 5000 points. Since this realm was designed for outer disciples, the strongest beasts were only Tier 4, roughly equivalent to the soul realm of human cultivators. Most outer disciples were only at the Dharma aspect realm, so encountering those beasts was extremely dangerous. Yu Chun thought for a moment. Hunting weak beasts for a few points is too slow. He grinned. Why not eliminate the strongest ones directly? His plan was simple. Hunt the Tier 4 beasts deep in the forest. Those creatures provided the highest points. With that thought, Yuchun immediately moved toward the deeper jungle. Half an hour later, he reached a dangerous territory. This place belonged to the Blazing Flame Wolf King. The Wolf King itself was a Tier 4 late-stage beast, extremely fast and powerful. More importantly, it led an entire pack. 2 other Tier 4 early-stage wolves guarded the area, along with dozens of Tier 3 beasts. Yuchun smiled. Time to start working. His figure flashed forward. In an instant, sword light filled the forest. Yuchun moved through the wolf pack like a phantom. Each strike of his sword killed a beast. The Tier 3 wolves couldn't even withstand a single attack. The Blazing Flame Wolf King roared angrily and charged toward him. Its speed was terrifying, but Yuchun remained calm. His sword rose slowly. Heaven-grade sword art, intercepting heaven sword technique. 6th strike, a brilliant sword light erupted. Boom! The Wolf King was blasted backward. Before it could recover, Yuchun unleashed another attack. Cold sword intent swept across the battlefield. With a single slash, the Blazing Flame Wolf King was cut cleanly in half. Dead. Yuchun shook his head. Too weak. After killing the entire pack, he collected the inner cores. As soon as the cores were removed, the beast corpses disappeared. This secret realm automatically restored beasts every time it opened. Yuchun stored the cores away and looked deeper into the forest. Next target. Without hesitation, he moved toward another powerful beast territory. Chapter 34. Where did all the 4th-tier beasts go? This makes no sense. For Yuchun, the creatures inside the secret realm were hardly dangerous anymore. Even demonic beasts equivalent to the soul realm posed little threat to him. After all, he possessed far too many powerful abilities and hidden trump cards. 2 hours later, Yuchun casually pulled a glowing beast core from the body of a fallen monster. He looked at the collection inside his spatial ring and sighed. Looks like the 4th-tier beasts are almost extinct. Inside the ring were countless beast cores. 3 late-stage 4th-tier cores 69, middle-stage 4th-tier cores 172, early-stage 4th-tier cores. There were also piles of 3rd-tier beast cores, but Yuchun hadn't bothered counting them. During the past 2 hours, he had practically wiped out every strong beast living in the deepest part of the forest. Not a single one remained. Forget it, Yuchun muttered. I'll just hunt some weaker ones for practice. He shrugged and began walking outward. While most disciples cautiously advanced from the outer forest toward the center, Yuchun was doing the exact opposite. He had already cleared the center. Meanwhile, a short distance away, Shun Qingyuan stood confidently within the forest. She examined the cores stored inside her spatial ring. A satisfied smile appeared on her face. 32 late-stage, 3rd-tier beasts in 2 hours. That's not bad. Her results were already impressive. Shun Qingyuan possessed a saint-grade physique and was the personal disciple of the sect master. Her cultivation had already reached the peak of the Dharma aspect realm, only 1 step away from the soul realm. Winning first place in the outer sect competition was her goal. Now it's time to go deeper, she said calmly. If I can defeat a few 4th-tier beasts, first place will be mine. She knew the deepest forest contained several late-stage 4th-tier beasts, creatures equivalent to powerful soul realm experts. Those monsters were extremely dangerous. Even Shun Qingyuan wasn't confident about fighting them alone. However, defeating a few early or middle-stage 4th-tier beasts would already give her enough points. With that thought, she moved deeper into the jungle. Half an hour later, her brows slowly began to wrinkle. What's going on? Where are the 4th-tier beasts? She had entered the deepest part of the forest, yet she hadn't seen a single one. Logically speaking, there should have been hundreds living in this region. But now the forest felt strangely empty. Did they sense my presence and hide? She muttered. After all, her saint-grade physique naturally released a powerful aura. Perhaps they're afraid. She sighed lightly. Sometimes talent can be troublesome. After saying that, Shun Qingyuan concealed her aura and continued searching. Another half hour passed. Still nothing. Not a single 4th-tier beast appeared. The forest had become eerily silent. Shun Qingyuan's calm expression began to crumble. This doesn't make sense. Where are they? Her voice grew frustrated. There should be hundreds of them here. Where did they all go? Meanwhile, the true culprit, Yuchun, was leisurely hunting weaker beasts in another part of the forest. Since he had already wiped out the strong monsters, he had no choice but to settle for 3rd-tier beasts. Boom! A single swing of his sword unleashed terrifying energy. More than 10 beasts were instantly killed. After collecting their cores, the corpses dissolved into light. This secret realm was designed for training. Every time it reopened, the beasts would regenerate again. Just as Yuchun prepared to leave, a voice suddenly called out. Yuchun! He turned around. A man dressed in dark clothing stood nearby, staring at him coldly. The man's cultivation was at the late stage of the Dharma aspect realm. Yuchen raised an eyebrow. And you are? The man smiled darkly. My name is Zhong Qi, ranked 10th among the outer sect disciples. His eyes filled with killing intent. Someone offered a huge reward for your life. Yu Chun immediately understood. Only one person in Taishian sect would bother arranging such a scheme. Li Yunfei. Yu Chun chuckled lightly. You seem very confident. Zhong Qi grinned. Of course. If I kill you, the reward will be enough to help me reach the soul realm. Money could move anyone, especially ambitious cultivators. Yu Chun slowly raised his sword. Then it seems you're celebrating too early. Before Zhong Qi could react, a terrifying sword aura erupted. Yu Chun unleashed a heaven-grade sword technique. The blazing sword light swallowed Zhong Qi completely. Zhong Qi's eyes widened in horror. How can this be? He couldn't even react. The gap in strength was overwhelming. Boom! With a single strike, Zhong Qi was instantly killed. Yu Chun calmly walked forward and picked up his storage pouch. It was a low-grade item with only about 1 cubic meter of space, far inferior to a spatial ring. Inside were several third-tier beast cores and a small amount of cultivation resources. Yu Chun shook his head. What a poor guy. After taking the items, he casually released a small flame. His exotic fire burned the corpse instantly. Yu Chun nodded proudly, helping with cremation after killing someone. I truly deserve the title of Taishian sect's most kind-hearted disciple. Satisfied with his good deed, Yu Chun continued wandering through the forest searching for more beasts. At this point, however, the number of cores he possessed was already ridiculous. Even if all the other disciples combined their points, they probably wouldn't surpass him. Meanwhile, far away in the forest, the sect master's disciple Xinqing Yuan was almost losing her composure. After searching for hours, she still hadn't found a single fourth-tier beast. Chapter 35. Yu Chun, how is this possible? Where did the beasts go? Where are the fourth-tier demonic beasts? Xinqing Yuan searched the forest for a long time, but found absolutely nothing. Not even a trace. Finally, she rushed to the deepest area where the 3 late-stage fourth-tier beasts were supposed to live. But when she arrived, there was nothing there. No aura, no tracks, no corpses. It was as if those terrifying beasts had never existed. The entire forest was eerily quiet. Xinqing Yuan felt completely confused. She simply could not understand what had happened. Time was running out. Left with no other choice, she abandoned the search for fourth-tier beasts and moved toward the central forest area to hunt third-tier beasts instead. Even if the stronger monsters were gone, surely the weaker ones would still be around. However, when she reached the central forest, she froze. What the hell? Where are the third-tier beasts? They're gone too. Her mind nearly collapsed. First, the fourth-tier beasts disappeared. Now even the third-tier ones had vanished. It felt like someone had completely cleaned the entire forest. For a moment, Xinqing Yuan began to suspect the secret realm itself had malfunctioned. Otherwise, the situation made absolutely no sense. Outside the secret realm, as the one-day time limit ended, the participating disciples were teleported back to the arena. All of them returned safely. Well, all except Zhong Qi, who had already been quietly cremated by Yu Chun. On the viewing platform, Sect Master Mo Ming watched the disciples with a satisfied smile. The moment he saw Xinqing Yuan emerge, he felt completely confident. With Xinqing Yuan's strength, peak Dharma aspect realm cultivation, a powerful saint-grade physique, and battle power capable of challenging soul realm experts, she was far stronger than ordinary outer disciples. Mo Ming believed she must have killed numerous fourth-tier beasts in the secret realm. Her score would surely dominate the competition. After all, she was his personal disciple. Mo Ming spoke calmly to the crowd. It seems everyone has performed well in the first round of the secret realm trial. A nearby peak master laughed. I wonder which peak will produce the first-place disciple this time. This was the pill peak master. His disciples focused mainly on refining spirit pills, so their combat ability wasn't exceptional. Winning the competition wasn't important to him. Another elder stroked his beard thoughtfully. In my opinion, the most likely candidate is the sect master's disciple, Xinqing Yuan. She possesses a saint-grade physique and extraordinary talent. The other peak masters nodded in agreement. Xinqing Yuan's reputation in the sect was extremely high. Even Mo Ming's smile deepened slightly when he heard this praise. Then someone suddenly glanced at Gu Shiran. It was the master of Bibo Peak, Wang Qingyun. She spoke with a faint smirk. I heard Ling Yun Peak also has a disciple participating. But isn't he only at the Golden Core realm? Fairy Gu. It seems Ling Yun Peak won't achieve much this time. Her tone clearly carried mockery. Wang Qingyun had long been jealous of Gu Shiran. Gu Shiran was stronger, more talented, and known throughout the continent as Fairy Gu. Meanwhile, few people paid attention to Wang Qingyun. That resentment had accumulated for years. So whenever she found an opportunity to embarrass Gushiran, she would take it. However, Gushiran simply glanced at her calmly. A faint smile appeared on her lips. She didn't bother responding. After all, she knew exactly how terrifying Yuchun was. Seeing Gushiran ignore her completely, Wang Qingyun's expression darkened slightly. But she suppressed her anger and turned away. Score counting. The elders began calculating the beast core points collected by the disciples. Soon a name was announced. Zhang Fengyang, total points, 6321. The arena erupted with shock. Over 6,000 points. As expected from the number 1 outer disciple. That score is insane. Many disciples believed Zhang Fengyang had already secured first place. But some disagreed. Don't forget Shen Qingyuan. She's the sect master's disciple. The discussions continued. Mo Ming remained calm. 6,000 points was indeed impressive. But in his mind, Shen Qingyuan would easily surpass that. Moments later, another result was announced. Shen Qingyuan, total points, 5903. The crowd fell silent. Even Mo Ming was stunned. How is that possible? That can't be her real strength. 5,000 points was already a great result. But for Shen Qingyuan, it was shockingly low. Mo Ming had expected her to surpass 10,000 points easily. Meanwhile, Shen Qingyuan herself looked extremely frustrated. Her first appearance as the sect master's disciple had ended in embarrassment, and she still couldn't understand what happened. Where did all the powerful beasts go? Did they suddenly grow wings and fly away? Finally, the elder moved to the next disciple. Yuchen points. The elder suddenly froze. In front of him was a mountain of beast cores. His eyes widened. What is this? Among the pile were even late-stage, fourth-tier beast cores. And there were 3 of them. The elder swallowed nervously. Yuchen simply smiled. Please continue counting, elder. The elder quickly began calculating. His hands trembled slightly as he finished the total. Finally, he shouted the result. Yuchen, total points, 147,234. The entire arena exploded into silence. Everyone stared at Yuchen in disbelief. 147,000 points. That number was unbelievable. Even the fraction of his score was higher than the combined results of Zhang Fengyang and Shen Qingyuan. The disciples were completely stunned. How is this even possible? This must be fate. No one could hunt that many beasts. The arena descended into chaos. Meanwhile, Yuchen simply stood there calmly, as if nothing unusual had happened. Chapter 36. Yuchen, prove yourself. What? Did the elder read that wrong? 140,000 points? That's impossible. Oh my heavens, the highest score ever recorded in the Taishan sect's outer competition was only about 30,000. How did this guy reach 140,000? Look at those beast cores. There are even 3 late-stage, fourth-tier cores. Did he wipe out the entire secret realm or something? The entire arena exploded into chaos. No one could stay calm anymore. Outer disciples, inner disciples, core disciples, even true disciples watching from the stands, all stared at the mountain of beast cores in front of Yuchen. Their expressions were filled with disbelief. Nearly everyone present had once participated in the secret realm trial, the first stage of the outer sect competition. Because of that, they knew exactly how difficult it was. But 147,000 points? That number felt completely unreal. More importantly, Yuchen's cultivation was only at the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. How could someone at that level achieve such results? Shen Qingyuan's realization. Among the crowd, Shen Qingyuan's expression gradually darkened. Her eyes locked onto Yuchen. A storm of thoughts surged in her mind. So that's why. No wonder I couldn't find a single fourth-tier beast. Her gaze slowly moved toward the beast cores piled in front of Yuchen. Hundreds of fourth-tier cores, and 3 that belonged to late-stage fourth-tier beasts. At that moment, she finally understood. Every powerful beast in the secret realm had already been killed by Yuchen alone. A strange feeling rose in Shen Qingyuan's chest. Who is this man? Why have I never heard his name before? Before participating in the competition, she had carefully studied the top 10 outer disciples. But Yuchen had never appeared in that list. It was his first time joining the outer sect competition. Naturally, Shen Qingyuan had never paid attention to him. Li Yunfei's shock. Not far away, Li Yunfei stared at the mountain of beast cores with wide eyes. His breathing grew slightly heavy. This is ridiculous. He had originally arranged for someone to kill Yuchen in the secret realm. Yet the person he sent, Zhong Qi, had completely disappeared. And now Yuchen returned with such a terrifying score. What kind of monster is this guy? Li Yunfei suddenly felt a chill run down his spine. The Peak Masters react. On the viewing platform, the Peak Masters also showed different reactions. Chu Xian looked genuinely surprised. I knew Junior Brother was strong, but I didn't expect him to be this monstrous. Meanwhile, Gu Shiran simply watched quietly. A faint smile curved on her lips. Her eyes contained a hint of satisfaction. Evil disciple, you've hidden your strength quite well. Among everyone present, she was the only one who completely believed Yu Chen's result, because she had already experienced his terrifying power personally. The accusation. At that moment, a furious voice suddenly rang out. Impossible. Everyone turned their heads. The person who spoke was Wang Qingyun, the master of Bibo Peak. Her face looked extremely ugly. This result is absolutely impossible. Her cold gaze landed on Gu Shiran. Gu Shiran, you actually dared to cheat during the sect competition, helping your disciple falsify results. Do you know what crime that is? The accusation struck the crowd like lightning. The two words, cheating, instantly echoed throughout the arena. Many disciples began whispering. Even sect master Mo Ming and the other elders looked toward Gu Shiran. Cheating during the outer sect competition was a serious offense. If it were proven true, even a peak master could face punishment. Gu Shiran's calm response. Despite the sudden accusations, Gu Shiran remained seated calmly. Her gaze moved lazily toward Wang Qingyun. Cheating? Where's your proof? Her voice was calm and emotionless, as if the matter meant nothing to her. Wang Qingyun snorted. Proof? She pointed directly at Yu Chun. That disciple is only at the middle stage of the Golden Core realm. How could someone like him kill 3 late-stage, 4th-tier beasts? Those creatures possess strength comparable to Soul Realm cultivators. She raised her voice loudly. Are we supposed to believe a Golden Core disciple can defeat such monsters? Her words sounded extremely convincing. Many disciples nodded subconsciously. It truly sounded impossible. Wang Qingyun then bowed slightly toward the sect master. Sect master, Gu Shiran violated sect rules to benefit her disciple. I request severe punishment. Her voice was sharp and decisive. Clearly, she wanted to destroy Gu Shiran's reputation completely. Sect master Mo Ming hesitates. Mo Ming frowned slightly. Cheating? He didn't believe Gu Shiran would stoop to such behavior. But Yu Chen's result was indeed too unbelievable. Even his own disciple, Shun Qingyuan, who had reached the peak Dharma aspect realm, could only fight beasts equivalent to the middle soul realm. How could Yu Chen achieve something like this? Shun Qingyuan speaks. At that moment, Shun Qingyuan stepped forward. Master, her voice was calm. I also believe something is strange about this matter. Everyone looked toward her. Shun Qingyuan continued. 2.5 hours after entering the secret realm, I arrived at the territory where 4th-tier beasts usually live. But the entire forest was empty. I searched for several hours and didn't find a single one. Her statement shocked the crowd. If that was true, then it meant one thing. All the 4th-tier beasts had been killed within 2.5 hours. And Yu Chan was the only person capable of doing it. But was that possible? 2.5 hours. Over 100 4th-tier beasts. Even intersect elites might not achieve such a feat. The crowd turns hostile. Soon the whispers turned into accusations. So that's the truth. No wonder his score was so ridiculous. He must have cheated. How could a Golden Core disciple kill so many beasts? Exactly. Even most inner disciples couldn't do that. I never expected Fairy Gu to help her disciple cheat. Punish them. Punish them severely. The entire arena erupted. Countless disciples shouted angrily. The atmosphere became extremely tense. Sect Master requests an explanation. Mo Ming sighed slightly. Shiran, please explain the situation. All eyes turned toward Gu Shiran. Even those who doubted her still hoped the elegant Peak Master would not truly be involved in cheating. Meanwhile, Wang Qingyun revealed a cold smile. She had waited years for this opportunity. Gu Shiran, today your reputation will collapse. Gu Shiran's response. However, Gu Shiran remained perfectly calm. She slowly stood up. Her gaze moved across the arena before finally landing on Yu Chun. For a brief moment, warmth appeared in her usually cold eyes. The expression disappeared almost instantly. But many people had already noticed it. Then she spoke gently. Yu Chun, show them. Prove it. Her voice was calm, but it carried absolute confidence. She believed him completely. Cheating? Her disciple didn't need such tricks. The system appears. At that moment, a familiar voice sounded inside Yu Chen's mind. Ding. Host has been falsely accused. System choice activated. Option 1. Ignore the accusations and withdraw from the outer set competition. Reward. Heaven grade, low tier, martial art. Turtle spirit technique. Option 2. Prove your strength and crush all doubts. Reward. Heaven grade, low tier, martial art. Blood god slash. Yu Chen's lips slowly curved into a smile. The choice was obvious. Become a turtle? Not happening. I choose option 2. His gaze swept across the arena. Then it landed briefly on Wang Qingyun. A cold glint flashed in his eyes. You dare insult my master? Fine. I'll make sure all of you remember this day. And very soon, Everyone in Taishien's sect would witness just how terrifying Yu Chun truly was. Chapter 37. I Sword Intent. Understood, Master. Yu Chun stepped forward calmly, a faint smile appearing on his face. Then he slowly scanned the arena. Thousands of disciples were watching him with suspicion, doubt, and hostility. Finally, his gaze settled on Sect Master Mo Ming. Sect Master, Yu Chun said respectfully, please continue calculating the competition scores and select the top 100 participants. His words confused everyone. Murmurs spread instantly. What does he mean? Why does he want the top 100 selected now? What does that have to do with proving his innocence? No idea. The entire arena was filled with puzzled voices. Even Mo Ming frowned slightly. He couldn't figure out what Yu Chun was planning. Still, he nodded and instructed the elders to continue their work. Soon the elders finalized the results. The top 100 outer disciples were chosen. These disciples represented the strongest combat force in the outer sect. The weakest among them had already reached the middle stage of the Golden Core realm, the same level as Yu Chun. Among them were also 8 peak Golden Core cultivators, including Shun Qingyuan. Many of these peak Golden Core experts could already fight opponents in the Dharma aspect realm. After the list was finalized, Mo Ming looked toward Yu Chun. The top 100 have been selected. What exactly do you intend to do? Curiosity flickered in his eyes. Only Gu Shiran seemed amused. A sly smile appeared on her face. She already guessed Yu Chun's intentions. After spending so much time with him, she understood his personality very well. Yu Chun possessed terrifying talent, but even more terrifying was his character. He never tolerated injustice, and he always returned insults tenfold. Yu Chun's proposal. Yu Chun turned toward the gathered disciples. His voice echoed clearly across the arena. Since everyone doubts my strength, then I'll simply prove it. He pointed toward the 100 outer disciples standing nearby. These people represent the strongest fighters in the outer sect. But in my eyes, they're nothing more than a group of chickens and stray dogs. Gasps filled the arena. Yu Chun continued calmly. I'll give you all a chance. All 100 of you may attack together. If anyone manages to defeat me, I will personally hand over the title of #1 outer disciple. Absolute arrogance. The entire arena fell into stunned silence. Even the peak masters were speechless. Did we hear that correctly? Yu Chun wanted to fight 100 disciples alone? Although the elders could defeat these outer disciples effortlessly, that was because they possessed far superior cultivation. But Yu Chun was merely a middle-stage Golden Core cultivator. What gave him the confidence to challenge them all? The first challenger. Suddenly, an angry shout broke the silence. Arrogant brat, a disciple at the late Golden Core stage, rushed forward with a spear. How dare someone at your level speak such nonsense? I'll teach you a lesson today. The disciple lunged forward, infusing his spear with powerful spiritual energy. His attack was clearly not restrained, but Yu Chun only glanced at him lazily. Then he raised his hand and casually pushed his palm forward. Boom! A surge of spiritual energy exploded outward. The spear wielder was blasted backward instantly. He flew more than 10 meters before crashing heavily onto the ground. Blood spilled from his mouth. Then he fainted. The arena fell silent. Everyone stared in disbelief. A single palm, a late Golden Core disciple defeated instantly? If they hadn't witnessed it personally, no one would believe it. Yu Chun's taunt. Yu Chun shook his head and sneered. I already told you. You're all just chickens and dogs. So stop wasting time. Come at me together. His calm tone carried overwhelming arrogance. Gu Shiran's satisfaction. On the viewing platform, Gu Shiran looked extremely pleased. Her eyes sparkled with amusement. This evil disciple. He really is just like me. In terms of arrogance and style. Yu Chun had clearly inherited her teachings perfectly. The outer disciples attack. Yu Chun's provocation finally pushed the outer disciples beyond their limits. Every one of the top 100 disciples possessed immense pride. Being mocked like this was unbearable, especially for someone like Shun Qingyuan. Her eyes turned cold as intense battle intent surged from her body. Fine. If you want to fight, then we'll give you one. Dozens of disciples drew their weapons. Everyone attacked together. Take him down. Within seconds, all 100 disciples rushed toward Yu Chun. Even Shun Qingyuan joined the charge. Although ganging up on a single opponent wasn't honorable, Yu Chun's arrogance had crossed the line. They had to suppress him. Yu Chun draws his sword. Yu Chun stood completely still. He didn't dodge. He didn't retreat. With a sharp metallic sound, his sword left its scabbard. A cold light flashed across the arena. One sword, enough to illuminate the world. Yu Chun's voice was calm. I sword intent. The power of sword intent. Instantly, a terrifying aura spread through the arena. Bone-chilling cold filled the air. The temperature dropped dramatically. Many disciples shivered uncontrollably. It felt as if they had fallen into the frozen depths of the underworld. A massive wave of sword energy erupted from Yu Chen's blade. The power of that attack had already surpassed the limits of the Golden Core realm. Even many Dharma aspect cultivators would struggle to release such terrifying force. One sword. Boom. Yu Chen swung his sword once. Just once. The overwhelming sword energy swept across the battlefield. The charging disciples were instantly thrown backward. Bodies flew through the air. Dozens crashed into the ground dozens of meters away. Within seconds, nearly the entire group had collapsed. Unconscious. Defeated. Shen Qingyuan's shock. Shen Qingyuan managed to remain conscious, but she was severely injured. Her internal energy was in chaos. She stared at Yu Chen with wide eyes. What was that attack? The power of that single strike had completely shattered her confidence. At that moment, she finally understood why Yu Chen had eliminated all the fourth-tier beasts in the secret realm within 2 hours. Because he truly possessed that level of strength. Even a late Dharma aspect beast might not survive that sword strike. The arena falls silent. The spectators were completely stunned. No one spoke. No one moved. Everyone stared at Yu Chen like he was some kind of monster. Different reactions. Wang Qingyun's face turned pale and ugly. How is this possible? How can someone at the Golden Core realm possess such power? Meanwhile, Gu Shiran smiled proudly. Sword intent. And not just any sword intent. It's the ice sword intent, one of the highest level sword intents. This evil disciple truly hides his abilities well. Even she had never mastered such a powerful sword intent. Yet Yu Chen had already comprehended it at the Golden Core realm. His talent was terrifying. Sect Master's excitement. At this moment, the most excited person in the arena was Mo Ming. Originally, he believed Shen Qingyuan was the greatest genius of the sect. But Yu Chen's talent was clearly far more extraordinary. Ice sword intent. That was a top-tier sword intent. Throughout the entire Tianwu continent, only a handful of cultivators had ever mastered such power. Yet Yu Chen had already awakened it. Mo Ming couldn't hide his excitement. Excellent. This is wonderful. Our Taishan sect finally has a true prodigy. His voice echoed through the arena. At that moment, everyone understood. A new legend had just been born within the Taishan sect, and his name was Yu Chen. Chapter 38. Gu Shiran's Fierce Protection. Sect Master Mo Ming could barely hide the excitement on his face. Turning toward Gu Shiran, who stood beside him, he said with admiration, "Junior sister, you truly chose well this time. Yu Chen's talent is astonishing. If he continues to grow like this, he will certainly become the future pillar of our Taishan sect." Hearing the praise, Gu Shiran's cold expression softened slightly. A faint smile appeared. Senior brother exaggerates. However, the other Peak Masters quickly joined the conversation. Peak Master Gu is too modest. A genius like Yu Chen will definitely shake the entire Tianwu continent in the future. Exactly. With talent like his, Taishan sect's future is secure. Yes. Voices of approval filled the viewing platform. Only Wang Qingyun, the master of Bibo Peak, looked extremely unpleasant. Her expression was so dark it seemed she had swallowed something disgusting. Damn it. Why does Gu Shiran always win? And this time, in front of the entire sect. Her own disciples had been crushed so thoroughly that none of them could even withstand one move from Yu Chen. Humiliation. Pure humiliation. A new accusation. Suddenly Wang Qingyun stepped forward. Wait. Everyone turned toward her again. She spoke coldly. Fairy Gu, there is still something we haven't discussed. Yu Chen violated sect rules by killing 4 disciples from my Bibo Peak. Someone who murders fellow disciples. How could such a person remain in Taishan sect? Her words sounded righteous and severe. Then she glanced toward Li Yunfei. He immediately understood her signal. Stepping forward, Li Yunfei bowed to the sect master. Sect master, I wish to report something. Yu Chen killed my younger brother Li Yunxin along with 3 other outer disciples. His actions were brutal and unforgivable. I request that the sect punish him severely. The crowd reacts. The arena instantly erupted again, killing fellow disciples. If that's true, it's serious. Sect rules clearly forbade disciples from harming one another. Violating that rule could lead to punishments ranging from cultivation being destroyed to execution. Even Mo Ming showed surprise. If the accusation was true, then the matter was extremely serious. He looked toward Yu Chen. Yu Chen, is this accusation true? Gu Shiran draws her sword. Before Yu Chen could answer, a sharp metallic sound echoed. Clang! Gu Shiran's sword left its sheath. The blade gleamed with icy light. It was her famous weapon, a sacred-grade artifact known as the Purple-Green Treasure Sword. A chilling aura spread through the area. Gu Shiran's voice was cold. Wang Qingyun, you are truly courting death. Her words made Wang Qingyun's heart tremble. The difference in strength between them was enormous. She had no chance of winning against Gu Shiran. Still, surrounded by so many witnesses, Wang Qingyun forced herself to remain firm. Gu Shiran, are you planning to protect your disciple, even in front of the entire sect? Gu Shiran sneered. Protect him? You misunderstand. Her gaze turned cold. Yu Qin once accepted a mission from the mission hall. During that mission, Li Yunsheng and several others tried to use him as bait to lure out a heavenly ice python. Back then, Yu Qin's cultivation had not even reached the golden core realm, but his strength already rivaled that monster. In the end, he survived. As for Li Yunsheng and the others, they became food for the heavenly ice python. Gu Shiran's voice suddenly turned even colder. I haven't even settled that matter with Bibo Peak yet. The truth revealed. The moment those words spread, the crowd exploded again. So that's what happened. I knew something was wrong. Li Yunsheng has done things like that before. I remember. He tried to invite me on a mission once too. He was planning to use people as bait. He deserved to die. The discussions grew louder and louder. Li Yunfei's face instantly turned pale. This is bad. If the truth spread, his reputation would be destroyed completely. After all, Li Yunsheng was his brother. On the viewing platform, Wang Qingyun glared furiously at Li Yunfei. Idiot! Why didn't you tell me this before? Gu Shiran makes her move. But before Wang Qingyun could react, Gu Shiran moved. Her speed was so fast it tore through the air. In the blink of an eye, she appeared in front of Wang Qingyun. Featherfall, sword art. Her sword flashed. Countless glowing feathers filled the sky like a beautiful illusion. Yet hidden within those feathers was terrifying sword energy. Boom! Wang Qingyun was blasted backward instantly. Her hair became disheveled. Her spiritual energy turned chaotic. Blood spilled from her mouth. Although she was a late-stage Supreme Realm cultivator, there were still huge differences among Supreme Realm experts. And Gu Shiran was one of the strongest. One-sided battle. Gu Shiran, what are you doing? Wang Qingyun shouted in panic. Gu Shiran's expression remained indifferent. I'm venting my disciple's anger. Then she attacked again. The ground trembled violently as their battle erupted. The entire Tai Xian sect shook. Countless disciples stared at the sky in shock. Battles between Supreme Realm experts were extremely rare. But what they witnessed now was not really a battle. It was complete domination. Gu Shiran's sword attacks forced Wang Qingyun backward again and again. She had no chance to resist. The spectators, many disciples gasped. So this is Fairy Gu's true strength? Incredible. Of course, she's known as the strongest cultivator below the Saint Realm on the continent. Didn't you hear? She once faced 3 Supreme Realm enemies alone and killed all of them. Terrifying. Yu Qin watches. Below, Yu Qin looked up at the sky. He quietly swallowed. Master is really fierce. If even one of those sword strikes landed on him, his body definitely wouldn't survive. Nearby, the disciples of Bibo Peak felt extremely awkward, watching their own peak master being beaten like this. They would never hear the end of it from the other peaks. Meanwhile, Li Yunfei felt even worse. It's over. Because of him, his master had been humiliated. Once they returned to Bibo Peak, he would definitely suffer the consequences. The battle ends. Finally, boom! Gu Shiran's final sword strike severely injured Wang Qingyun. Her spiritual energy was nearly exhausted. At that moment, Mo Ming stepped forward. Junior sister, that's enough. Gu Shiran paused. She glanced coldly at Wang Qingyun before sheathing her sword. She still had to give the sect master some face. Before leaving, she spoke calmly. From today onward, if anyone from Bibo Peak dares to scheme against Yu Qin again, I will personally take your life. Her voice was quiet, but the threat was unmistakable, and no one doubted she meant every word. Chapter 39. Entering the sect's forbidden land. Wang Qingyun felt a chill run down her spine. Although Gu Shiran's voice had been calm, the threat within her words was unmistakable. No one present doubted her seriousness. Least of all Wang Qingyun. She knew Gu Shiran's personality better than anyone. If a disciple from Bibo Peak dared to scheme against Yu Qin again, Gu Shiran would truly appear at their peak with her sword. And she absolutely had the strength to do it. Being threatened in front of so many people made Wang Qingyun furious. For a moment, she wanted to retort with harsh words to preserve her dignity. But after thinking carefully, she restrained herself. Because she couldn't be certain whether Gu Shiran would actually kill her. That woman was infamous for acting without restraint. Seeing Wang Qingyun's conflicted expression, Gu Shiran simply stood quietly. Her gaze drifted toward Yu Qin. As if sensing his master's eyes on him, Yu Qin grinned mischievously and raised his eyebrows slightly. For a brief moment, a faint smile appeared on Gu Shiran's usually cold face. This troublesome disciple, still acting shamelessly in broad daylight. She silently decided to discipline him properly later. Sect Master ends the matter. Enough. Sect Master Mo Ming finally spoke. This issue ends here. As the sect leader, He naturally wanted to avoid internal conflict. However, he had deliberately allowed Gu Shiran to vent her anger earlier. He understood her personality very well. If she hadn't released her anger today, she would certainly march to Bibo Peak sooner or later to settle the matter herself. That was simply who Gu Shiran was. Besides, Mo Ming also knew Bibo Peak had indeed been targeting Yuchun, so he had chosen to ignore the earlier fight. Still, one thought lingered in his mind. His junior sister seemed unusually protective of this disciple. Perhaps it was because Yuchun's talent was simply too extraordinary. Mo Ming decided not to think about it further. Instead, he turned toward the disciples gathered below. I hereby announce, the first place in this year's outer set competition belongs to Yuchun of Lingyun Peak. His voice echoed across the arena. Not a single person objected. First, everyone had just witnessed Gu Shiran's terrifying strength. No one wanted to provoke someone capable of battling Supreme Realm experts. Second, Yuchun's strength had already proven everything. He had defeated the top 100 outer disciples alone. Such a feat had never occurred in the entire history of Taishan sect. If he wasn't worthy of first place, no one was. As for accusations of cheating, they now sounded completely ridiculous. Someone that powerful didn't need tricks. System reward. At that moment, Yuchun heard a familiar voice in his mind. Ding. Mission completed. Reward obtained. Heaven grade low tier martial art, blood god slash. Yuchun's eyes flickered slightly. A heaven grade technique was extremely valuable. In fact, it was even superior to the sword technique he currently practiced. But now was not the time to study it. He decided to examine it carefully later. The competition continues. Although Yuchun had secured first place, the rankings for the remaining top 100 disciples still needed to be determined. The competition continued. However, Yuchun no longer needed to participate. Soon, Sect Master Mo Ming and the Peak Masters left the arena. A moment later, Gu Shiran appeared beside Yuchun. Come with me to the main hall. Her expression was calm, though a faint smile lingered on her lips. Yuchun chuckled. Of course, my beautiful master. Gu Shiran paused. This shameless disciple. Even outside, he refused to behave properly. She sighed softly but decided not to argue. Turning around, she began walking toward the main peak. Yuchun quickly waved goodbye to Chu Xian before following after her. Master and disciple walked together toward the central peak. Countless disciples watched with envy. Yuchun possessed monstrous talent. His master was powerful, beautiful, and extremely protective of him. It was truly enviable. The main hall. Soon they arrived at the main hall of Taishan sect. Sect Master Mo Ming sat on the central throne. The Peak Masters were seated on both sides. Only Wang Qingyun was absent. She had already returned to Bibo Peak after her humiliation. After entering the hall, Gu Shiran took her seat calmly. Yuchun stood respectfully in the center. Despite standing before a Saint Realm Sect Master and several Supreme Realm experts, Yuchun showed no nervousness. His composure impressed everyone present. Mo Ming smiled. Yuchun, your performance today was remarkable. I never expected Taishan sect to produce another genius of this level. Even though his own disciple Shun Qingyuan had lost, Mo Ming felt even happier, because Yuchun's potential was far greater. With proper training, this young man might even reach the Saint Realm someday. Yuchun cupped his hands politely. Sect Master praises me too much. Mo Ming laughed. Not at all. Your achievement today is unprecedented in the history of Taishan sect. Defeating the top 100 outer disciples alone, no one has ever done that before. The first place reward. Mo Ming then continued. The reward for first place in the outer set competition is the opportunity to enter our sect's forbidden land. That place is the foundation of Taishan sect. Everything you see inside must remain secret. Do you understand? Yuchun's playful smile disappeared. His expression turned serious. Sect Master, I understand. I will not reveal anything. Mo Ming nodded in satisfaction. Good. In that case, follow me. I will personally guide you to the forbidden area. The bamboo forest. Soon the group left the main hall. They traveled to a quiet bamboo forest. Thick mist covered the entire area. Even powerful spiritual senses could not penetrate it. This was the entrance to the sect's forbidden land. Numerous powerful formations protected the area. The mist itself was a formation, and hidden within the forest were deadly, killing arrays. Anyone entering without permission would surely die. Mo Ming waved his sleeve. The mist slowly parted. Holding a special token, he led everyone inside. After walking deeper into the forest, a massive ancient stone gate appeared. We have arrived, Mo Ming said. Beyond this gate lies the forbidden land of Taishan sect. Yuchun, you must enter alone. You will remain inside for 3 days. After 3 days, the formation will automatically send you back here. We will wait outside. Yuchun looked up at the ancient stone door. It was covered with countless weathered carvings. Clearly, It had existed for an extremely long time. Whatever lay behind it was definitely extraordinary. Yuchen glanced toward Gushiran. She simply smiled faintly. He nodded. All right, then I'll go in. Without hesitation, Yuchen pushed open the heavy stone door and stepped into the forbidden land of Taishan sect. Chapter 40. Heaven and Earth Jade Liquid. Yuchen stepped through the ancient stone gate. The moment he entered, a brilliant white light enveloped him. For a brief instant, his vision was completely consumed by that radiance. Then the light slowly faded. Yuchen opened his eyes again. What appeared before him was a breathtaking world. A vast green landscape stretched endlessly, filled with vibrant life. Spiritual plants covered the ground, and the air was so rich with spiritual energy that every breath felt refreshing. It was like stepping into a paradise untouched by the outside world. In the center of this hidden world lay a cold, jade-colored pond. The pond was extremely deep, and waves of dense spiritual power radiated from it continuously. Yuchen walked closer. Suddenly his eyes widened slightly. What a terrifying aura! The energy inside this pond is unbelievably pure. The closer he approached, the stronger the pressure of the spiritual energy became. After observing it carefully, Yuchen suddenly realized something. His pupils shrank. This is actually Heaven and Earth Jade Liquid. He instinctively inhaled sharply. Heaven and Earth Jade Liquid was an incredibly rare treasure formed naturally by the essence of heaven and earth. Not only could it greatly increase cultivation, but it could also refine the physical body and enhance talent. Among all heavenly treasures, its rarity ranked extremely high. Even a single drop of Heaven and Earth Jade Liquid could cause powerful cultivators to fight desperately for it. After all, anything capable of improving talent was priceless. But now, Yuchen was staring at an entire pond filled with it. The sheer value was unimaginable. It seems something inside this place constantly generates the jade liquid. Otherwise, it wouldn't have accumulated so much. Yuchen immediately understood why the Forbidden Land could only be opened once every few decades. After the jade liquid was consumed, it required time to regenerate. This place was clearly one of the foundations of Taishan sect. Yuchen swallowed. Then, without hesitation, he removed his outer robes and jumped straight into the pond, absorbing the jade liquid. The moment his body entered the liquid, violent waves of spiritual energy surged toward him. The energy was extremely domineering. It rushed into his body like a raging flood. Yuchen frowned slightly. What terrifying power! His cultivation and physical strength began increasing rapidly. Fortunately, Yuchen possessed the heavenly tyrant body, an immortal rank physique. His body was far stronger than ordinary cultivators. Otherwise, absorbing such violent energy would have shattered a normal cultivator's meridians instantly. At that moment, a strange vibration came from his spatial ring. Yuchen looked down. The source of the movement was the dragon egg he had obtained earlier. It seemed the little fellow also sensed the jade liquid. Yuchen thought for a moment. Then he took the egg out and placed it beside him in the pond. Instantly, streams of jade liquid began flowing toward the egg. Yuchen stared in surprise. Hey, you little glutton. Your appetite is pretty big. Soon he noticed something troubling. The egg's absorption speed was extremely fast. It almost looked like it was competing with him. Yuchen narrowed his eyes. Listen carefully. If you keep stealing my share, I'll roast you and eat you. The dragon egg trembled slightly. As if it understood his threat, its absorption speed suddenly decreased. Yuchen chuckled. Good. That's more like it. Satisfied, he closed his eyes and focused on cultivation. He began absorbing the Heaven and Earth Jade liquid with full power. There was no way he would lose to an egg. Frenzied absorption. Inside the Forbidden Land, one person and one dragon egg absorbed the jade liquid at an astonishing speed. If a Saint Realm expert witnessed this scene, they would certainly be shocked. Yuchen possessed an immortal rank physique. The dragon egg was the offspring of an ancient divine beast. Both were capable of absorbing enormous amounts of energy without limit. The jade liquid in the pond rapidly began to decrease. Outside the Forbidden Land. Meanwhile, outside the Stone Gate, Sect Master Mo Ming and the Peak Masters were quietly waiting. Mo Ming smiled. I wonder how much Heaven and Earth Jade liquid Yuchen can absorb. The artifact Peak Master stroked his beard thoughtfully. In the entire history of Taishan sect, the highest absorption record was about 50%. Yuchen's cultivation isn't very high yet. I estimate he may absorb around 30% at most. Several other Peak Masters nodded in agreement. 30% would already be extremely impressive. Yes, his strength should improve greatly. Everyone discussed their expectations. Mo Ming then looked toward Gushiran. Junior sister, what do you think? How much can your disciple absorb? Gushiran replied calmly. He might absorb all of it. Silence fell instantly. And Mo Ming, the peak masters, absorb everything? Did she just say that? That pond was filled with heaven and earth jade liquid. Even the most powerful physiques couldn't possibly consume it all. And Mo Ming looked at her suspiciously. Junior sister, are you joking? Gu Shiran looked completely serious. Do I look like someone who jokes? Everyone fell silent. Gu Shiran rarely joked, but still, absorbing an entire pond sounded impossible. However, Gu Shiran understood Yu Chun extremely well. His physique was ridiculously strong. His talent was monstrous. And most importantly, that shameless disciple never tolerated losses. If he saw such a treasure, he would definitely drain every last drop. Dao comprehension. Inside the Forbidden Land, thunder suddenly echoed across the sky. Yu Chen remained seated in meditation. A faint purple glow flickered within his pupils. The jade liquid formed a massive vortex around him. Endless streams of energy poured into his body. If someone observed closely, they would see something incredible. Yu Chen had entered another state of Dao comprehension. The swirling jade liquid formed a yin-yang pattern in front of him. Like a black hole, his body absorbed everything without resistance. His physical body was being refined again and again. Meanwhile, the dragon egg hid quietly in a corner, slowly absorbing energy. It didn't dare make too much noise, because it feared Yu Chun might actually roast it. 2.5 hours later, suddenly, boom, the entire pond trembled. The jade liquid had completely disappeared. Nearly 90% of the heaven and earth jade liquid had been absorbed by Yu Chun. The remaining 10% was consumed by the dragon egg. Yu Chun slowly opened his eyes. His purple extreme immortal eyes flashed with brilliant light. His gaze had become incredibly deep and powerful. He murmured softly, "It seems I entered Dao comprehension again. My cultivation." Yu Chun sensed the energy inside his body. A smile appeared on his face. His cultivation had risen dramatically. From Golden Core realm midstage, directly to the Dharma aspect realm midstage. A whole major realm breakthrough. Even more shocking, his physical strength had skyrocketed. Yu Chun clenched his fist and threw a casual punch. Boom! The air exploded with a thunderous sound. Yu Chun took a deep breath. My physical body alone is probably comparable to a Heavenly Gang realm cultivator now. His strength had increased by an unbelievable amount. And yet, 3 days inside the Forbidden Land had only just begun. Chapter 41. The Azure Dragon Awakens. Yu Chun slowly rubbed his chin, still somewhat stunned. His physical body had undergone a terrifying transformation. Even without using spiritual power, the strength of his body alone could rival a Heavenly Gang realm martial artist. In other words, with a single punch, he could easily crush an ordinary early Heavenly Gang realm cultivator. The power contained in one strike was comparable to the force of collapsing mountains. Ridiculous. Yu Chun muttered to himself. This body is becoming more and more monstrous. With his current strength, he might not dominate every Heavenly Gang realm expert, but he was certainly among the strongest. If he were to encounter Li Yunfei again and unleash all his techniques, winning might still be uncertain, but losing would be extremely unlikely. Just as Yu Chun was enjoying the thrill of his rapid progress, the dragon egg beside him suddenly began to tremble. Yu Chun turned his head. Is it finally hatching? After all, the little fellow had absorbed quite a large amount of heaven and earth jade liquid earlier. A cracking sound soon echoed. Crack, crack. A small hole appeared on the surface of the egg. Fragments began falling off. Then suddenly, the entire shell shattered. From the broken egg, a small emerald green head slowly poked out. Moments later, the creature crawled fully out of the shell. Yu Chun stared at it blankly. Wait a minute. This is supposed to be a dragon? Why does it look like a green snake? The creature's body was slender and about half a meter long. Its scales were bright emerald green. The only feature that distinguished it from an ordinary snake was the pair of tiny dragon horns on its head. Hiss! The little creature let out a soft sound. The moment it saw Yu Chun, its eyes lit up with affection. It quickly crawled toward him. Then it rubbed its head against Yu Chun's foot, clearly showing intimacy. Before Yu Chun could react, the little dragon climbed onto his arm and gently licked him. Yu Chun froze. What? Hold on. Are you male or female? Why does this feel so strange? A chill ran down his spine. The little dragon blinked pitifully, looking extremely wronged. It wagged its tail and let out another soft sound. Yu Chun glanced down briefly. Oh, you're male. He immediately looked away calmly. You're male and you're licking me like that. That's disgusting. The little dragon froze. It suddenly felt its fate might not be very fortunate. Still, because of the system bond, it naturally felt extremely close to Yu Chun. Even though Yu Chun kept complaining, it still clung to him affectionately. Yu Chun sighed and rubbed its head. You just hatched, so you don't have a name yet. Since that's the case, I'll give you one. The little dragon's eyes instantly brightened. It coiled happily around Yu Chen's arm. Yu Chen stroked his chin thoughtfully. Since you're my pet, your name must be something unforgettable, the kind nobody would ever expect. He suddenly snapped his fingers. I've got it. From now on, your name is Wankai. The little dragon blinked. It didn't understand the meaning of a name, but somehow, it felt a little suspicious. Did other dragons really have names like Wankai? If Gushiran were here, she might have kicked Yu Chen straight into the sky. Naming an ancient dragon Wankai? Was this guy even serious? Yu Chen patted the dragon's head proudly. Don't worry. If you follow me, Wankai will one day become a name that shakes the entire Tianwu continent. Hearing Yu Chen's confident tone, the little dragon's eyes sparkled with excitement. Hiss! It wagged its tail happily, devouring the eggshell. With the jade pond already completely drained, Yu Chen prepared to leave. But Wankai suddenly rushed toward the broken eggshell. Then it began devouring the shell pieces one by one. Crunch! Crunch! Each fragment disappeared into its mouth. As the eggshell was consumed, Wankai's aura began rising rapidly. Suddenly, boom! A burst of power erupted from its body. Its size expanded instantly. The half-meter dragon grew to nearly 1 meter long. At the same time, its cultivation sword, 4th order late stage, equivalent to a soul realm late stage cultivator. Yu Chen stared at it. Are you serious? You just hatched, and you're already stronger than me? He had worked extremely hard to reach Dharma aspect realm mid-stage. Meanwhile, this little dragon had simply been born and instantly reached soul realm late stage. Yu Chen sighed helplessly. So this is what a powerful bloodline looks like. It's completely unfair. Wankai chuckled softly and rubbed against Yu Chen again. Yu Chen didn't push it away this time. Instead, his eyes scanned the surroundings. The jade pawn was gone, but something else caught his attention. He frowned slightly. There's a powerful sword intent coming from the northwest. Without hesitation, Yu Chen walked toward that direction with Wankai following behind. The sword tablet. Soon they entered a quiet bamboo forest. In the center of the forest stood a stone tablet. A single deep sword mark was carved across its surface. Nothing else. Yet an ancient and terrifying sword intent lingered around it. Yu Chen's eyes narrowed. That aura, it's coming from a sword mark. Because Yu Chen already possessed ice sword intent, he was extremely sensitive to sword energy. The intent within the stone tablet had remained intact for countless years. This meant the cultivator who left it behind had possessed unimaginable strength. Yu Chen stared at the stone tablet. Suddenly, his surroundings changed. He seemed to enter a strange void filled with endless sword energy. Cold killing intent filled the air. A voice echoed repeatedly in his mind. Draw your sword. Draw your sword. Without hesitation, Yu Chen drew his sword. One strike, another strike, and another. Sword light flashed endlessly. He swung his blade repeatedly, releasing waves of sword energy. Meanwhile, his full-level comprehension ability began analyzing the terrifying sword intent. Thunder rumbled across the Forbidden Land. Sword chi surged violently. 1 hour passed. 2 hours passed. Soon, 2.5 days went by. Yu Chen remained completely immersed in that sword intent. His senses were sealed off from the outside world. Wankai quietly coiled beside him, patiently guarding him. Birth of Nirvana sword intent. Suddenly, Yu Chen opened his eyes. His pupils had turned completely dark. They resembled endless night filled with killing intent. A terrifying aura radiated from him. Yu Chen spoke slowly. I have a sword. One sword that could destroy stars and annihilate all things. This intent is called Nirvana. He raised his sword. Then he swung it. Boom! A terrifying wave of Nirvana sword intent erupted. The sword energy devoured everything in its path like a black hole. The entire bamboo forest ahead disappeared instantly, as if it had never existed. Yu Chen exhaled slowly. Excitement appeared in his eyes. Nirvana sword intent. I've successfully comprehended it. It was one of the most powerful sword intents in existence. And now, it belonged to him. At that moment, the system notification appeared. Ding! Detected that the host has independently comprehended top-tier sword intent. Nirvana sword intent. Reward obtained. Emperor grade formation technique. Zhou star transformation 12 sword array. Yu Chen's eyes widened slightly. An emperor grade technique. Even he couldn't hide his excitement. Inside the silent Forbidden Land, Yu Chen's strength had just advanced to a completely new level. Chapter 42. Zhou 12 sword formation, emperor grade. A familiar mechanical voice suddenly echoed inside Yu Chen's mind. System notification. Zhou 12 sword formation. A supreme sword formation requiring 12 flying swords as its foundation. The user serves as the formation core, controlling all blades simultaneously. The formation possesses overwhelming offensive power, and its strength depends on the quality of the swords and the cultivator's cultivation level. After reading the explanation, Yu Chen's lips curved into a satisfied smile. Not bad at all. A sword formation was extremely rare among cultivators. Most martial artists focused on individual techniques, but formations could multiply combat strength several times over. The Zhou Tian 12-sword formation was even more special. Yu Chen only needed to act as the formation's core, and the 12 swords would move according to his will. If deployed during battle, his combat power would undoubtedly skyrocket. However, what excited him even more was something else. Nirvana's sword intent. This was another top-tier sword intent, equal in rank to his ice sword intent. With two supreme sword intents supporting his attacks, Yu Chen's destructive power had reached a terrifying level. He silently reviewed his abilities. Immortal rank cultivation technique, immortal rank, physique emperor grade, heavenly fire immortal rank, purple extreme, eyes perfect comprehension talent 2, top-tier sword intents. With so many powerful abilities combined, Yu Chen's combat power had already become extremely frightening. Even many Heavenly Gang realm cultivators might hesitate before facing him. Yu Chen then opened his system panel. System status. Host, Yu Chen. Cultivation, Dharma aspect, realm mid-stage. Secondary profession, 4th rank alchemist. Cultivation technique, 9 nether god demon art, immortal rank. Physique, heavenly tyrant body, immortal rank. Eye technique, purple extreme divine pupil, immortal rank. Talent, full level talent. Perfect bone structure. Perfect comprehension ability. Limitless potential. Martial arts. Heaven intercepting 9 swords, perfection. Dragon shadow movement, perfection. Flower plucking finger, perfection. Special abilities. True love goo, emperor grade. Ice sword intent, top tier. 9 nether bones, spirit flame. Emperor grade, heavenly fire. Mind domination, emperor grade, divine ability. Nirvana sword intent, top tier. Zhou Tian 12, sword formation, emperor grade. Evaluation. Upgraded beginner. Young cultivator, you finally possess some real strength. Yu Chen chuckled after reading the evaluation. TSK, even the system admits I'm getting stronger. I honestly have no idea how powerful I've become. He said it casually, though the smug look on his face was obvious. At that moment, Wang Kai slithered over happily. Yu Chen reached out and patted the little dragon's head. Suddenly, a faint repulsive force appeared around Yu Chen's body. The surrounding space began to fluctuate slightly. Yu Chen immediately understood. The 3 days are over. The Forbidden Land is ejecting me. Outside the Forbidden Land, outside the ancient stone gate, several figures were waiting quietly. Sect Master Mo Ming glanced at the sealed entrance and smiled. The time should be about right. Yu Chen should be coming out soon. Hearing this, Gu Shiran felt a faint sense of anticipation. For the past 3 days, she had remained near the entrance, silently guarding the area. Even she didn't quite understand why. Perhaps she simply wanted to see that troublesome disciple the moment he appeared. Of course, she would never admit such thoughts out loud. The other peak masters were also curious. They all wondered the same thing. How much heaven and earth jade liquid had Yu Chen absorbed? Just then, the space near the stone gate distorted. A flash of light appeared. 2 figures emerged. 1 man, 1 dragon. The moment Yu Chen appeared, Gu Shiran's eyes lit up slightly. A faint smile briefly surfaced on her face before she quickly concealed it. Mo Ming walked forward with a warm laugh. Yu Chen, you finally returned. How was your harvest inside the Forbidden Land? Yu Chen smiled calmly. It was decent, although the heaven and earth jade liquid was a bit limited. Mo Ming froze. The peak masters froze. Limited? Their expressions turned strange. Was he joking? One of the elders couldn't help asking. Yu Chen, you didn't absorb the entire jade pond, did you? Yu Chen shook his head. No. Everyone instantly sighed in relief. But before they could relax, Yu Chen continued speaking calmly. I only absorbed about 90%. The remaining 10% was taken by this little fellow. He pointed at Wang Kai. Silence fell. Everyone stared at him in disbelief. 90%. Ordinary cultivators would struggle to refine even a fraction of the jade liquid. Yet Yu Chen had absorbed almost the entire pond. The elders inhaled sharply. This disciple was truly terrifying. Only Gu Shiran remained calm. She had already guessed something like this might happen. After all, she understood Yu Chen's monstrous physique better than anyone. Soon everyone's attention shifted toward the creature beside him. Mo Ming looked curious. Yu Chen, is this your spirit beast? Yu Chen nodded. Yes. Mo Ming carefully examined the small dragon. As a Saint Realm cultivator, his perception was extremely sharp. He could immediately sense the extraordinary bloodline hidden inside the creature. This should be a dragon, and judging from its aura, its bloodline is extremely powerful. Yu Chen smiled. That's right. It's called Wankai. It belongs to the Azure Dragon lineage. For a moment, everyone's expressions became extremely strange. An Azure Dragon, a legendary bloodline among dragonkind. And Yu-chan had named it Wankai. Even Gu Shiran's expression twitched slightly. She suddenly felt the urge to kick Yu-chan across the mountain. Mo Ming coughed awkwardly. Normally, creatures of a dragon clan were extremely proud, especially those from the Azure Dragon lineage. Such beings rarely acknowledged human masters. Yet Wankai clearly showed deep affection toward Yu-chan. In fact, it behaved more like a child toward its parent. Mo Ming silently raised his evaluation of Yu-chan again. Such a monstrous genius might be rare across the entire Tianwu continent. After a moment, Mo Ming spoke again. Yu-chan, it seems your trip to the Forbidden Land was very rewarding. You should return to your peak and stabilize your cultivation. Then he continued with a smile. You must have seen the stone tablet inside the bamboo forest. That tablet contains an extremely powerful sword intent. Although no one has fully comprehended it, studying it carefully should greatly help your sword cultivation. Mo Ming sighed slightly. Back when I entered the Forbidden Land, I also studied that stone tablet. Unfortunately, I failed to comprehend the sword intent within. However, after returning and meditating for several months, I managed to create my own high-grade sword intent, Radiant Moon Sword Intent. The surrounding peak masters nodded in admiration. Comprehending a high-grade sword intent was already an achievement worthy of praise. As expected of a sect master, his talent was extraordinary. Yu-chan listened quietly. Then he smiled faintly. The sword intent on that tablet. It's called Nirvana Sword Intent. He paused briefly before finishing his sentence. And since I've already comprehended it, the sword intent remaining on the tablet has probably disappeared by now. The entire area fell silent. Chapter 43. Proposing the Holy Sun. Mo Ming, Gu Shiran, the peak masters. For a moment, everyone stood frozen in place. What did Yu-chan just say? The Nirvana sword intent on the stone tablet had disappeared? That could only mean one thing. Everyone's expressions instantly changed. Gu Shiran's eyes widened slightly. Even she looked stunned. Mo Ming swallowed and stared at Yu-chan. Yu-chan, are you saying you actually comprehended the sword intent on that tablet? The sword intent carved on the stone monument was legendary within the sect. Even Mo Ming himself had once attempted to understand it during his youth, but he had failed. And Yu-chan? He had only entered the Forbidden Land for 3 days. Yu-chan smiled faintly. You mean his sword intent? He casually drew his sword. A dark and terrifying aura instantly erupted. Sword energy surged outward like a devouring abyss. The Nirvana sword intent exploded across the bamboo forest. Within a single breath, most of the forest ahead vanished, swallowed by the destructive sword power. Silence. Complete silence. The peak masters stared at the devastated forest in shock. The aura within that attack. There was no mistake. That was top-tier sword intent. Mo Ming inhaled sharply. Yes. That's it. His voice trembled slightly. He recognized that aura immediately. It was the same sword intent he had once attempted to comprehend. But now, Yu-chan had actually succeeded. The elders looked at Yu-chan as if they were seeing a monster. Even Gu Shiran, who believed she understood Yu-chan best, felt slightly dazed. She had already expected Yu-chan to absorb most of the heaven and earth jade liquid. But comprehending that terrifying sword intent, that was beyond even her expectations. This troublesome disciple, he's far more terrifying than I imagined. She muttered quietly to herself. Meanwhile, Yu-chan calmly sheathed his sword. His expression remained relaxed. In many stories, protagonists prefer to hide their strength. Yu-chan found that approach completely foolish. If revealing strength could earn protection from powerful figures and support from the sect, why hide it? A true sect would never suppress a genius. On the contrary, they would do everything possible to protect and nurture such a person. After all, the future of a sect depended on the rise of powerful talents. And besides, Yu-chan had Gu Shiran standing behind him. He had nothing to fear. As long as he demonstrated overwhelming talent, the sect would inevitably support him fully. And indeed, the moment Yu-chan revealed the Nirvana sword intent, everyone's attitude toward him changed. Especially sect master Mo Ming. Originally, Mo Ming believed Yu-chan was only slightly more talented than his own disciple Shinqing Yuan, perhaps strong enough to reach the saint realm in the future. But now, his opinion had completely changed. Yu-chan's potential was far beyond that. If nothing unexpected happened, reaching the saint realm would almost be guaranteed. After all, Yu-chan now possessed 2 top-tier sword intents, and his cultivation was only at the Dharma aspect realm. Looking across the entire Taishian sect, even the whole Tianwu continent, who could achieve something like this? No one, not a single person. Mo Ming felt a surge of excitement. Excellent. Absolutely excellent. I never imagined Yu Chun would possess such terrifying talent. The elders also spoke with excitement. This level of talent is extremely rare across the entire continent. That's right. With such potential, reaching the Saint Realm should not be difficult. Our Taishan sect is truly fortunate to have such a disciple. Gu Shiran listened quietly. A faint smile appeared on her lips. Her disciple had not disappointed her. Then Mo Ming suddenly spoke again. Junior sister, I have an idea. Gu Shiran looked at him. With Yu Chen's talent, Mo Ming continued slowly. Why don't we establish him as the holy son of Taishan sect? We could then nurture him with the full resources of the sect. The moment those words were spoken, all the peak masters gasped. The position of holy son was extremely prestigious. In terms of status, it was second only to the sect master. Even the true disciples would have to bow respectfully. Each generation might produce many true disciples, but there was only one holy son, and the holy son would become the future leader of the sect. Yet Mo Ming had just proposed giving that position to Yu Chun. Gu Shiran's eyes brightened slightly. However, she did not speak immediately. Instead, she waited for the opinions of the other peak masters. The alchemy peak master spoke first. I fully support the sect master's proposal. Yu Chen's talent is unprecedented in the history of Taishan sect. The alchemy peak rarely competed for authority. Their disciples focused primarily on refining pills. So supporting Yu Chun was an easy decision. Next, the artifact peak master nodded. I agree as well. With such talent, Yu Chun is certainly qualified. After the two elders expressed their opinions, the others quickly followed. I support it too. Yu Chun is absolutely worthy. I vote in favor as well. Soon nearly every peak master had expressed agreement. Gu Shiran finally spoke. Her voice was calm. Senior brother's idea is reasonable. I also support it. Then she added casually. However, Yu Chen's cultivation is still lower than that of many true disciples. If he becomes the holy son now, they might not accept it. Her words made sense. Yu Chen had only joined the sect a few months ago. Although his cultivation speed was astonishing, he was still behind some veteran disciples. Mo Ming laughed. A powerful aura radiated from him. Yu Chun represents the future of Taishan sect. Appointing him as holy son is my decision. If anyone disagrees, they're welcome to come discuss it with me personally. His tone carried undeniable authority. As the sect master and a Saint Realm expert, Mo Ming's status was absolute. He clearly understood Yu Chen's potential. If Yu Chun continued growing, reaching the Saint Realm was almost inevitable. And perhaps, he might even approach the legendary Emperor realm someday. If that happened, Taishan sect would rise to unprecedented heights. That was why Mo Ming was determined to support Yu Chun. Gu Shiran smiled faintly. Her earlier remark had been deliberate. She had intentionally provoked her senior brother. And as expected, he had responded exactly as she predicted. Chapter 44. Senior sister, I won't hold back anymore. Yu Chen quietly listened as the sect elders discussed his future. Although he remained silent, a faint smile appeared in his heart. The position of Holy Son was something he definitely intended to obtain. Of course, the title itself was not the most important thing. What truly mattered were the resources and authority that came with it. As the Holy Son of Taishan sect, he would receive the sect's strongest support, cultivation resources, techniques, and protection. For Yu Chun, this was extremely valuable. He had never liked the typical behavior of many protagonists who deliberately hid their strength. In his eyes, that kind of thinking was simply foolish. If revealing your potential could gain the protection of powerful figures and the support of the entire sect, why pretend to be weak? Mo Ming soon announced that the official ceremony for establishing the Holy Son would be held the next day. The entire sect would witness it. After the discussion ended, everyone gradually dispersed. Yu Chen left together with Gu Shiran. Beside him, the little azure dragon Wang Kai obediently followed. Before long, the three of them returned to Lingyun Peak. The moment Yu Chen stepped into the peak's territory, he suddenly stopped. A massive spiritual energy vortex had formed in the sky. Endless spiritual energy was being drawn toward a single location. Yu Chen's eyes brightened. This spiritual fluctuation, is senior sister about to break through? Gu Shiran nodded with a smile. Correct. Chu Xian was already very close to the Emperor realm. With the 9 revolutions royal pill you gave her, that final step became much easier. There shouldn't be any problems. Gu Shiran had complete confidence in her disciple. The disciples she accepted were all extraordinary. Not only were they stunning in appearance, their talent and combat strength were also exceptional. Among them, Chu Xian possessed terrifying battle strength. Fighting above her cultivation level was almost effortless for her. And Gu Shiran's eldest disciple was even more astonishing. However, even with such talents, Gushiran believed only Yu Chun could consistently suppress them. That troublesome disciple was simply too mysterious. Even she could not fully understand him. He carried an unfathomable aura around him, and his courage was outrageous. He even dared to flirt with his own master. Hearing the news, Yu Chun grinned. So senior sister is about to reach the Emperor Realm. The Emperor Realm was an extremely powerful stage. Across the entire Tai Xian sect, cultivators of that level could already become sect elders. With Chu Xian's talent, once she broke through, even many experienced Emperor Realm elders might not be her opponents. Heavenly tribulation. At that moment, thunder roared across the sky. A streak of purple lightning suddenly descended toward Chu Xian's residence. Boom! The lightning struck violently, but it shattered instantly. Immediately afterward, more lightning bolts descended one after another. A total of 63 thunder strikes fell continuously. However, Chu Xian faced them calmly. Each bolt of lightning was easily destroyed by her attacks. Gushiran spoke calmly while watching. This is the heavenly tribulation that accompanies a breakthrough into the Emperor Realm. Ordinary cultivators only experience 9 lightning strikes. But Chu Xian's talent is exceptional, so she must endure a stronger tribulation. Yu Chun nodded slightly. The strength of the heavenly tribulation often reflected the potential of the cultivator. The greater the talent, the more powerful the tribulation. Eventually, the thunderclouds slowly dispersed. The oppressive lightning aura vanished. A powerful Emperor Realm pressure suddenly spread across Lingyun Peak. Yu Chun smiled. Senior sister succeeded. Chu Xian breaks through. The next moment, the door of the cultivation room burst open. Chu Xian ran out excitedly. Master, junior brother. I succeeded. Her voice was filled with excitement. After all, she had finally stepped into the Emperor Realm. Although the King Realm and Emperor Realm were only one step apart, the difference between them was enormous. Once the breakthrough occurred, one's strength would undergo a complete transformation. Without Yu Chen's pill, this step might have taken her at least another year. Naturally, she was extremely grateful. Gushiran nodded approvingly. A rare smile appeared on her face. But before anyone could react, Chu Xian rushed toward Yu Chun and hugged him tightly. Junior brother, thank you for that pill. I almost failed during the breakthrough, but after taking it, everything became stable. She continued talking excitedly while holding him. However, Yu Chen's face slowly turned red. MMPH. He struggled to breathe. Chu Xian still hadn't noticed, but Gushiran had already seen everything clearly. She sighed helplessly. Chu Xian, are you planning to suffocate your junior brother? Chu Xian froze. Only then did she realize Yu Chan was nearly fainting. She quickly released him in panic. Junior brother, are you okay? I didn't mean it. I was just too excited. She hurriedly supported him, looking extremely worried. Yu Chen coughed twice. He had almost died from lack of oxygen. He glanced at Chu Xian and sighed. Senior sister, you're really impressive. Chu Xian blinked. Then her face instantly turned red. Her cheeks became hot with embarrassment. That was the first time she had ever held a man like that. If anyone else had spoken to her that way, she might have already attacked them. But Yu Chen was different. After all, he was her precious junior brother, and technically, the accident had been her fault. Chu Xian coughed awkwardly. Junior brother, I really didn't do it on purpose. She blinked pitifully at him. Her expression was unbelievably charming. Yu Chan felt his heart shake slightly. Truly, a disciple is not necessarily inferior to the master. The ancient sayings were clearly correct. With such beauty acting spoiled toward him, who could resist? Even Yu Chen almost lost control for a moment. But suddenly, a cold gaze landed on him. Gushiran was staring at him expressionlessly. Yu Chun immediately straightened. Oh no, master looks jealous. Of course, he would never dare say that aloud. Otherwise, he might be beaten to death. At that moment, Chu Xian proudly patted her chest. Junior brother, don't worry. From now on, senior sister will protect you. If anyone dares bully you, tell me. You don't need to be polite with me. Yu Chen immediately smiled. That was exactly what he wanted to hear. That's great, senior sister. Then from now on, I won't hold back. Gushiran suddenly narrowed her eyes. For some reason, that sentence sounded a little strange. Chapter 45. This is not fair. Yu Chen did not waste the entire night. Inside Lingyun Peak, he remained seated in meditation while cultivating the martial technique he had just obtained, Blood God Slash. This was a heaven-grade, low-level martial art. Compared to the profound-grade techniques he had practiced before, the difference in power was enormous. However, the technique also consumed a tremendous amount of spiritual energy. Because of this, Yu Chun understood clearly that Blood God Slash could only be used as a decisive killing move. During his practice, Yu Chun discovered something interesting. This technique possessed an unusual compatibility with his Nirvana sword intent. If the two were combined together, The destructive power released would likely be terrifying beyond imagination. By the time dawn approached, Yu Chun had already completely mastered Blood God Slash. Reaching perfection in a heaven-grade martial art within a single night would have shocked the entire continent. But Gu Shiran and Chu Xian were no longer surprised. After witnessing Yu Chen's monstrous talent so many times, they had grown accustomed to it. To them, this was simply normal. The 9 bell chimes. The next morning, dong, dong, dong. Deep bell chimes echoed across the entire Taishan sect. 1, 2, 3. The sound continued until 9 bells rang. At that moment, every disciple in the sect froze. Because 9 bell chimes meant only one thing. A major sect event had occurred, or something important was about to be announced. Instantly, countless disciples rushed out from their residences. Voices filled the air. My heavens, 9 bell chimes. Did something happen to the sect? Could it be an invasion? Impossible. Taishan sect is one of the 5 great holy lands. Who would dare attack us? Then why summon everyone? Stop guessing and hurry to the main peak. Streaks of light shot through the sky as disciples hurried toward the sect's central mountain, Lingyun Peak. Inside Lingyun Peak, Gu Shiran, Yu Chun, and Chu Xian naturally heard the bell chimes as well. Gu Shiran smiled faintly. Let's go to the main peak. She already knew the reason for today's gathering. The position of Saint of Taishan sect. And the only person qualified for that title was her troublesome disciple, Yu Chun. All right, Yu Chun nodded calmly. Chu Xian followed beside him, still radiating the aura of someone who had recently entered the Emperor realm. Soon, the 3 of them flew toward the main peak, gathering of the entire sect. When they arrived, the main peak plaza was already packed. Thousands of disciples stood below. 8 peak masters, numerous elders, all had gathered. Among them, Peak Master Wang Qingyun looked completely confused. She glanced around. The other peak masters looked calm, as if they already knew something. But no one explained anything to her. Wang Qingyun frowned. Why does everyone look like they know something? Except me. Did I miss something important? The sect master appears. At that moment, a powerful figure appeared above the plaza. Sect Master Mo Ming. Immediately, all disciples bowed. Greetings, Sect Master. Mo Ming waved his sleeve lightly. No need for formalities. Then his voice echoed throughout the mountain. I have summoned everyone today for an important matter. The selection of the Taishan sect saint. The moment those words were spoken, the crowd exploded. Everyone's breathing became heavy. The same position. This was the highest status among disciples. Only second to the sect master. For countless disciples, this position represented glory, power, and unlimited cultivation resources. Excited whispers spread everywhere. The crowd's speculation. Who do you think will become the saint? Isn't that obvious? It must be Senior Brother Li Bufan. Exactly. He is the sect master's personal disciple, and he's already at the heavenly gang realm. Among all disciples below the king realm, he is practically unbeatable. Right. Senior Brother Li is known as the strongest genius under the king realm. Everyone believed the answer was obvious. The saint title would naturally belong to Li Bufan. At the front of the crowd stood Li Bufan himself. His expression was calm, but his eyes revealed excitement. The saint position, in the entire Taishan sect, who could compete with him? He possessed a powerful physique, extraordinary talent, and unmatched combat ability. The title seemed destined for him. The announcement. At that moment, Sect Master Mo Ming spoke again. After discussion with the Peak Masters, the sect has made a decision. Today, we will appoint Yu Chun of Lingyun Peak as the new saint of Taishan sect. Dead silence. For a moment, the entire plaza became completely silent. Everyone stared in shock. Yu Chun, the saint. This must be a joke. Yu Chun was indeed famous within the sect. His outer sect tournament record of 100 victories had shocked many people. But he had only joined the sect a few months ago. His cultivation was merely at the Golden Core realm. How could such a person suddenly become the saint of Taishan sect? Li Bufan's reaction. Li Bufan's expression instantly darkened. The excitement on his face disappeared. Instead, his eyes filled with anger. Meanwhile, many true disciples and core disciples looked dissatisfied. Why him? Why Yu Chun? The most confused person present was still Wang Qingyun. Her mind went blank. Wait. The sect master said the decision was made after discussing with the peak masters. But I'm a peak master too. Why didn't anyone tell me? Only then did she realize why the other peak masters had avoided her gaze earlier. They already knew, but she didn't. At that moment, Wang Qingyun felt as if she had become the only outsider in the room. The objection. Before Wang Qingyun could speak, a core disciple stepped forward. Sect Master, Junior Brother Yu Chun may have extraordinary talent, but he has only been in the sect for a few months, and his cultivation is only at the Golden Core realm. If such a person becomes the saint, I'm afraid the entire cultivation world will laugh at Tai Xian's sect. The moment he finished speaking, many disciples nodded in agreement. Voices began rising. This is unfair. The same position is too important. Yu Chen's strength isn't enough. We refuse to accept this. The dissatisfaction grew louder. After all, Yu Chen had risen too quickly, from outer disciple to saint candidate within a few months. Such a thing had never happened in the history of the sect. Li Bufan speaks. At that moment, Li Bufan stepped forward. All eyes turned toward him. Sect Master, please reconsider this decision. I am also unconvinced. His words struck like thunder. Because among the younger generation, Li Bufan had the strongest reputation. If even he opposed the decision, the situation would become far more serious. Sect Master's pressure. Mo Ming slowly narrowed his eyes. A terrifying aura suddenly spread. The pressure of a Saint Realm powerhouse instantly covered the entire plaza. Many disciples trembled under the overwhelming force. Mo Ming spoke coldly. Not convinced. A faint sneer appeared on his face. You people, with such narrow vision, you simply do not understand what a true genius looks like. He looked toward Yu Chen, then continued calmly. Yu Chen's talent surpasses even mine. And across the entire Tianwu continent, there is no one who can surpass him. Chapter 46. A True Monster. The moment Sect Master Mo Ming finished speaking, the entire plaza fell into stunned silence. Then, everyone inhaled sharply. Did I hear that correctly? Yu Chen's talent is greater than the Sect Master's? The crowd was shaken. Mo Ming was a Saint Realm expert, one of the most powerful figures across the Tianwu continent. His strength and prestige were unquestionable. For such a person to publicly admit that someone else's talent surpassed his own, that statement carried terrifying implications. If Yu Chen continued to grow without dying halfway, his future achievements would likely exceed Mo Ming's. For a moment, the way everyone looked at Yu Chen changed completely. Some were shocked, some were doubtful, some were even fearful. Mo Ming slowly withdrew the overwhelming pressure he had released earlier. His expression remained calm, but inside, he knew very well that what he had said was actually modest. In truth, Yu Chen's talent was not merely slightly better. It was an entirely different level. Compared to Yu Chen, Mo Ming himself felt like an ordinary genius. Giving myself a little credit isn't too much, right? He thought quietly. Li Bufan's refusal. Among the crowd, Li Bufan's expression was complicated. Even after hearing Mo Ming's words, he was still unwilling to accept the result. He hadn't even competed for the saint position, yet it had already been taken away. Finally, Li Bufan stepped forward and clasped his fists. Master, I cannot accept this decision. His voice was calm but firm. Mo Ming sighed internally. Li Bufan was undoubtedly talented, but compared with Yu Chen, the difference was simply too great. At that moment, a mechanical voice suddenly echoed inside Yu Chen's mind. System notification. Ding. Someone doubts the host's saint position. 2 choices detected. Option 1. Remain low-key and prove strength in the future. Reward. Random advanced sword intent. Option 2. Prove your strength immediately and silence all doubts. Reward. Immortal rank secret method. Dantian condensation technique. Random emperor grade cultivation technique. Random special physique can be transferred to others. Yu Chen's eyes instantly lit up. These rewards are insane. An immortal rank secret method, an emperor grade technique, and a special physique. Any one of these treasures would shake the entire cultivation world. Of course, the second option clearly required him to prove himself in front of everyone. It wasn't easy, but for Yu Chen, it wasn't impossible either. Without hesitation, he made his decision. I choose option 2, the challenge. Before Sect Master Mo Ming could continue speaking, Yu Chen stepped forward. The crowd instantly quieted. Yu Chen looked calmly at Li Bufan. Senior brother Li, you believe the Sect Master exaggerated my talent, correct? Li Bufan didn't answer, but his silence already gave the answer. He had never fought Yu Chen before. How could he truly believe such claims? Seeing this reaction, Yu Chen smiled faintly. His gaze shifted to the sword in Li Bufan's hand. Senior brother Li is also a sword cultivator. How about this? In front of all the disciples today, let's have a match. The moment those words were spoken, the entire crowd exploded. What? Did he just challenge Li Bufan? Has Yu Chen lost his mind? Li Bufan was the strongest disciple below the king realm. His cultivation had already reached the heavenly gang realm. His combat ability was famous throughout the sect. Meanwhile, Yu Chen had only recently stepped into the soul realm. The difference between their realms was enormous. In everyone's eyes, Yu Chen would not survive even a single strike. Shocked reactions. He's crazy. Absolutely insane. Challenging senior brother Li? That's suicide. Even the sect elders looked shocked. Sect Master Mo Ming frowned. Yu Chen, what are you doing? His tone carried clear concern. If Yu Chun lost badly, his reputation would collapse instantly. Even Gu Shiran could not remain silent. Yu Chun stopped fooling around. She knew her disciple's abilities well. He could fight opponents above his realm. But the gap between Soul Realm and Heavenly Gang Realm was simply too large. Yu Chun smiled calmly. Master. I'm not joking. Then he looked at Li Bufan again. Senior brother Li, please give me your guidance. Li Bufan's proposal. Li Bufan studied Yu Chun carefully. He couldn't understand the confidence behind the young man's calm expression. After a moment, he spoke. My cultivation is much higher than yours. If I defeat you directly, it would not be honorable. He raised one finger. Let's do this. If you can withstand 10 moves, I will admit defeat. Gasps sounded across the plaza. 10 moves. For a Soul Realm cultivator to survive 10 moves from Li Bufan was already nearly impossible. Li Bufan was showing considerable fairness. Yu Chen's reply. But Yu Chen simply shook his head. 10 moves? That's too few. He smiled. Let's make it 100 moves. Total chaos. The plaza exploded again. What? 100 moves? Has he completely lost his mind? Even Sect Master Mo Ming looked stunned. Gu Shiran stared at Yu Chun as if she had never seen him before. This troublesome disciple, what is he thinking? Chu Xian looked extremely worried. She couldn't understand where Yu Chen's confidence came from. A hidden enemy. Among the true disciples stood Li Yunfei. At this moment, he was barely suppressing his laughter. If it weren't for the public setting, he would have burst out laughing already. Yu Chun, you fool. Li Bufan was the strongest disciple beneath the King Realm. A Soul Realm cultivator challenging him was basically asking to die. Li Yunfei secretly hoped Li Bufan would severely injure Yu Chun, or even kill him during the duel. Yu Chun reveals his cultivation. Li Bufan frowned slightly. Are you certain? 100 moves is no different from suicide. Yu Chun chuckled lightly. Of course. Then he added casually. Oh, by the way, I should mention something. My cultivation has recently advanced. I am now at the Soul Realm middle stage. Senior brother Li doesn't need to hold back. Another shock. Silence. Then, the crowd gasped again. What? Soul Realm middle stage? That's impossible. Only a few days earlier, Yu Chun had been at the Golden Core Realm during the Outer Set competition. Now he had crossed an entire major realm, and it had only taken 3 days. Such cultivation speed was terrifying. Among the crowd, Shun Qing Yuan stared in disbelief. Her lips trembled slightly. Yu Chen's combat strength had already surpassed hers. Now, even his cultivation level was higher. She murmured quietly, a true prodigy. No, a monster. Li Bufan's expression finally became serious. Even though the Soul Realm meant nothing compared to his Heavenly Gang Realm strength, Yu Chen's talent was clearly abnormal. Perhaps, this duel would not be as simple as everyone thought. Chapter 47. One more sword, please advise. Very well. Since Junior Brother insists, I will no longer hold back. Li Bufan clasped his fists slightly, his tone calm but serious. Although he had been dissatisfied with the Saint decision earlier, he still respected courage. For a cultivator at the Soul Realm, to challenge someone at the Heavenly Gang Realm required immense determination. In his heart, Li Bufan had already decided something. No matter what happens, I won't seriously injure him. It could be considered a gesture of respect to his junior. The arena opens. The disciples surrounding them quickly retreated dozens of meters, creating a wide, open area. Even the elders and peak masters stepped back. Everyone's attention was locked onto the center of the plaza. Mo Ming folded his hands behind his back while watching carefully. Even he did not understand what Yu Chun was planning. What kind of confidence does this kid have? Beside him, Gu Shiran also frowned slightly. Even she could not guess Yu Chen's true intentions. The first strike. The two stood several meters apart. Li Bufan slowly drew his sword. A sharp metallic sound echoed across the plaza. He was also a sword cultivator and had already comprehended sword intent despite his young age. That alone proved his extraordinary talent. Junior brother Yu Chun, I'm making my move. The moment his words ended, Li Bufan vanished. A cultivator at the Heavenly Gang Realm possessed terrifying speed. Most disciples present could not even track his movement. But Yu Chen's eyes narrowed slightly. His spiritual perception was far stronger than ordinary cultivators. When Li Bufan appeared within 1 meter of him, Yu Chun instantly sensed it. Wind Cloud 3 Sword Art, First Slash. A powerful sword arc erupted. The sword carried the force of storm, cutting through the air with terrifying pressure. Even a Heavenly Gang cultivator would hesitate to block such an attack directly. Yu Chen's counter. Yu Chen reacted instantly. His body twisted sideways as his sword flashed out of its sheath. 9 intercepting heaven swords, 7th form. In an instant, sword shadows flickered. Blinding light filled the air. The speed of Yu Chen's strike shocked everyone present. Many disciples didn't even see when he attacked. First collision. Boom. A violent explosion erupted. The shockwave forced nearby disciples to retreat several steps. Those with weaker cultivation nearly lost their balance. When the dust settled, Yuchen had stepped back 5 steps. Li Bufan had stepped back too. For a moment, Li Bufan stared at Yu Chun in surprise. Then he spoke seriously. Junior brother Yu Chun, I underestimated you. A Soul Realm cultivator had actually blocked his strike. That alone was extraordinary. When Li Bufan himself had been at the Soul Realm, he definitely did not possess such strength. Yu Chun smiled lightly. This is only the beginning, senior brother. I haven't even gotten serious yet. Shock crowd. Li Bufan. The crowd. Everyone froze. He wasn't serious yet? Could that strike really not be his full power? The disciples looked at Yu Chun as if they were staring at a monster. The purple divine eye. Before anyone could react, Yu Chun moved first. Purple extreme divine eye activate. A faint purple glow appeared in his pupils. Instantly, the world seemed to slow down. Movements, airflow, sword trajectories. Everything became clearer. Peak master shock. Mo Ming's eyes widened slightly. A pupil technique. He spoke with obvious surprise. Pupil techniques were extremely rare and difficult to cultivate. Even many powerful experts did not possess them. Yet Yu Chun had one. Gu Shiran was equally shocked. She thought she already understood her disciple. But every time Yu Chun fought, he revealed another hidden ability. This troublesome disciple. How many secrets does he still have? Offensive momentum. With his vision enhanced, Yu Chun instantly changed his strategy. Defense turned into offense. His figure vanished as he rushed toward Li Bufan. Yu Chun had never liked standing still and taking attacks. Seeing Yu Chun charge forward, Li Bufan's eyes flashed with surprise. But he quickly reacted. Their swords clashed again and again. Because of the purple extreme divine eye, Li Bufan's movements appeared slower to Yu Chun. The pressure of the battle dropped drastically. In the blink of an eye, several exchanges passed. And Yu Chun did not fall behind at all. Crowd in disbelief. Gasps echoed everywhere. This is really Soul Realm combat power. I'm at Soul Realm peak, but I couldn't survive 3 breaths against him. I'm already at Heavenly Gang Realm early stage, and I still feel inferior. The disciples were stunned. Many had higher cultivation levels than Yu Chun, yet his battle strength far surpassed them. The realization was extremely frustrating. Li Bufan gets serious. Meanwhile, Li Bufan grew increasingly shocked. Every attack he launched was predicted and blocked. Even worse, whenever their swords collided, a powerful force traveled through his arm. Yu Chun's physical strength was terrifying. Finally, Li Bufan spoke. Junior brother Yu Chun, I admit your talent is astonishing, but his aura suddenly changed. It ends here. Thousand Mountain Sword Intent. A heavy pressure spread across the plaza. A powerful sword intent erupted from Li Bufan. Disciples instantly recognized it. That's senior brother Li Bufan's sword intent. Intermediate sword intent. Thousand Mountain Sword Intent. The aura felt as heavy as mountains. Steady. Unstoppable. Yu Chun's sword intent. Yu Chun saw this and smiled faintly. He did not retreat. Instead, a terrifying killing aura burst from his body. The air turned cold. A destructive energy spread across the battlefield. Nirvana sword intent. Sect Master Mo Ming's eyes suddenly shone. It's that sword intent again. Nirvana sword intent. The aura was violent and destructive. Even compared with advanced sword intent, it felt far more terrifying. Crushing difference. The 2 sword intents collided. A violent shockwave spread across the plaza. But soon, everyone noticed something shocking. Li Bufan's Thousand Mountain Sword intent was trembling. It looked as if it was being suppressed. Finally, someone shouted, Top-tier sword intent. Yu Chun has mastered a top-tier sword intent. Li Bufan's expression changed drastically. As a sword cultivator, he understood what that meant. A Soul Realm cultivator mastering top-tier sword intent? That was simply impossible. Yet it was happening before his eyes. Sword intent collapse. Boom! Li Bufan's sword intent shattered. The backlash forced him to retreat several steps. But Yu Chun remained standing calmly. Then he smiled. Senior brother, I still have one more sword. Please give me your guidance. As his voice fell, Yu Chun's aura transformed again. The previous killing aura turned into something colder. Bleak. Desolate. Like a frozen wasteland. A terrifying sword technique was about to be unleashed. Chapter 48. The terrifying power of the Zhou Tian 12 sword formation. What is this? Li Bufan's pupils suddenly shrank. Shock filled his face. It was sword intent again. But this time, the aura emanating from Yu Chun was completely different from before. Previously, Yu Chun's sword intent had been violent and destructive, overflowing with killing intent as if it could devour everything in its path. Now, however, the aura had changed. Cold. Extremely cold. The air around Yu Chun seemed to freeze, and the chilling pressure spread outward like a winter storm. Even Li Bufan felt a shiver run down his spine. Although the two sword intents were completely different in nature, there was one thing that was certain. Both of them belonged to the same terrifying level. Top-tier sword intent. For a moment, Li Bufan's mind went blank. A cultivator at the soul realm mastering two top-tier sword intents at the same time? This was completely absurd. Had the world gone insane? The second sword intent. A burst of icy sword aura surged toward Li Bufan like a freezing storm. Clang! He hurriedly raised his sword to block. Even so, the terrifying force forced him to retreat several steps. A thin layer of frost quickly formed on his sword blade. The surrounding disciples stared at the scene with stunned expressions. Two sword intents, and both are top tier. Is this really the power of a soul realm cultivator? My heavens, this is unbelievable. The crowd erupted into chaos. Shock across the sect. Among the disciples, Li Yunfei stood frozen. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Yu Chen had actually mastered two top-tier sword intents. This was far beyond imagination. Even worse, Li Yunfei realized something he didn't want to admit. If he faced Yu Chen now, he might actually lose. But he was a Heavenly Gang Realm Peak cultivator. How could he possibly lose to someone in the Soul Realm? The thought made his expression extremely ugly. Peak Masters' reaction. On the viewing platform, the Peak Masters were equally stunned. Their mouths were almost hanging open. Even Gu Shiran could not hide her shock. Her beautiful eyes flickered as she stared at Yu Chen. This troublesome disciple. Is he really this monstrous? Behind her, Chu Xian looked at Yu Chen with shining eyes. Compared with Yu Chen's current combat strength, her own achievements when she was younger seemed insignificant. She couldn't help but feel proud. As expected of my junior brother, Li Bufan's judgment. Li Bufan slowly steadied himself and spoke seriously. Junior brother Yu Chen, your talent is truly astonishing. With these two sword intents, you may withstand dozens of my moves. He paused slightly, but within 100 moves, you will still lose. His words were honest. Even with such extraordinary abilities, Yu Chen's cultivation was still far below his. Winning was impossible. Yu Chen's confidence. Yu Chen simply smiled. His eyes shone with confidence. Senior brother Li, if these are your only methods, how could your junior dare speak so boldly? The crowd froze again. What? He still has more techniques? The disciples stared at Yu Chen in disbelief. The power he had already shown was enough to rival a Heavenly Gang Realm cultivator. Yet he claimed he still had more? Growing respect. No one dare mock Yu Chen anymore. Instead, many disciples had already begun addressing him respectfully as Senior Brother Yu. Strength commanded respect, and Yu Chen's strength had completely shocked everyone. Even the sect elders were now watching him seriously. Mo Ming narrowed his eyes. What other secrets does this boy have? Li Bufan's doubt. Li Bufan also felt uncertain. If someone else had said such words, he would have dismissed them immediately. But Yu Chen had already shattered common sense several times. Could he truly possess another trump card? Just then, Yu Chen raised his hand. A flash of light appeared. 12 swords flew out from his spatial ring. This ring had originally belonged to Gu Shiran. Naturally, Yu Chen hadn't received it politely. He had practically snatched it from his master during one of their playful confrontations. As Gu Shiran's personal storage ring, it contained many treasures. 12 spiritual swords. Among the 12 swords, one sword was a high-grade spiritual artifact. The other 11 were mid-grade spiritual artifacts. Each sword radiated powerful spiritual energy. The disciples stared in confusion. What is he doing? Even Gu Shiran frowned slightly. What is that boy planning now? Chu Xian asked curiously. Master, what technique is junior brother using? Gu Shiran shook her head. I have no idea. Most sword cultivators used one sword. Some could control two swords. A few rare geniuses mastered 3 sword techniques. But Yu Chen had suddenly taken out 12 swords. What exactly was he planning? The formation awakens. Yu Chen smiled faintly. With a simple wave of his hand, the 12 swords floated into the air. They surrounded him in a circular pattern. Streams of sharp sword energy flowed between them, forming an invisible network of power. Yu Chen stood calmly at the center. His expression was relaxed. This was his true trump card. The Zhou Tian 12 sword formation. Emperor-level formation. This formation was an emperor-grade technique. It required 12 swords to create a complete formation. The sword master stood in the center as the core, controlling every blade simultaneously. Attack and defense became perfectly integrated, and the stronger the swords used in the formation, the greater its power. Now Yu Chen was using 12 spiritual artifacts to form the array. Its destructive potential was terrifying. The declaration. Yu Chen looked at Li Bufan and smiled calmly. Senior brother Li, this technique is called the Zhou Tian 12 sword formation. Please give me your guidance. Crowd in shock. The moment Yu Chun spoke those words, the crowd erupted again. A sword formation? What is that? Some disciples were confused. Others suddenly remembered something from ancient records. I once read about it. Sword formations were ancient techniques used by powerful sword cultivators. Their power is terrifying, but most of them were lost long ago. The crowd became restless. Elders' disbelief. Even the sect elders were stunned. Mo Ming's eyes widened. The peak masters looked at each other in shock. Sword formation? None of them expected Yu Chun to possess such a legendary technique. At this moment, everyone finally realized something. Yu Chun was far more terrifying than they had imagined. Chapter 49. The entire sect is shocked. My heavens, did senior brother Yu Chun really use a sword formation? Impossible. Aren't sword formations ancient techniques that disappeared long ago? This is unbelievable. Shock spread throughout the plaza like wildfire. The peak masters watching from the platform all wore stunned expressions. Even they could not hide their disbelief. For countless years, no one within Taishan sect had ever displayed such a technique. Mo Ming's reaction was even more dramatic. Although he had never heard of the Zhou Tian 12 sword formation, one fact was clear to him. Controlling 12 swords simultaneously required terrifying spiritual control and cultivation. Even a king realm cultivator would struggle to achieve such precision. Yet Yu Chun had done it while only at the soul realm. Mo Ming's eyes shone with excitement. A peerless genius. A once-in-10,000 years genius. At that moment, he made a firm decision. No matter the cost, Taishan sect must protect Yu Chun at all costs. This young man was undoubtedly the future pillar of the sect. Gu Shiran's shock. Beside him, Gu Shiran's heart was in turmoil. Her gaze remained fixed on Yu Chun. She refused to look away, even for a moment. This troublesome disciple. How terrifying is his talent exactly? Even she, his master, felt increasingly unable to understand him. Behind her, Chu Xian watched the battle with sparkling eyes. Her junior brother's strength had already surpassed her imagination. Li Bufan attacks. Inside the arena, Li Bufan's expression became serious. However, instead of fear, his eyes revealed excitement. Junior brother, Yu Chun truly possesses remarkable methods. In that case, allow your senior brother to experience them personally. His figure flashed forward. A sword strike exploded toward Yu Chun. The blade emitted a dazzling light filled with terrifying sword energy. This time, Li Bufan did not hold back. The sword formation's defense. Boom! The attack struck the sword formation. A deep humming sound echoed through the air. The 12 swords vibrated slightly, but the formation remained intact. Yu Chun stood calmly in the center, his expression relaxed. The crowd froze. My heavens! Senior brother Li's attack couldn't break the defense. This formation is absurdly powerful. Disciples stared with wide eyes. Even the elders were astonished. Mo Ming murmured quietly, what incredible defensive strength. Yu Chun strikes back. Li Bufan's expression grew serious. But Yu Chun simply smiled. Then he stepped forward. The sword formation moved together with him. Yu Chun pointed his finger lightly. The 12 swords instantly shot forward like meteors. Sword energy crisscrossed through the air. The formation unleashed both attack and defense simultaneously. Its offensive power was just as terrifying as its defense. Li Bufan's shock. Li Bufan quickly raised his sword to block. Metal clashed repeatedly as he parried the incoming blades. But his heart was filled with shock. What terrifying offensive power! This force is comparable to a heavenly gang realm cultivator. Yet Yu Chun's cultivation was only soul realm middle stage. Such power defied all common sense. Looking back through the history of Tianwu continent, Li Bufan had never heard of anyone like this. Endless battle. The battle continued. Li Bufan originally believed Yu Chun would quickly run out of spiritual energy. After all, controlling 12 swords simultaneously should consume enormous power. But as time passed, he realized something surprising. The formation barely drained Yu Chun's energy. That was because the spiritual artifacts themselves were providing most of the power. The higher the rank of the swords, the stronger the formation became. In other words, the formation used the swords themselves as its energy source. This design was ingenious. 100 moves. The battle became increasingly intense. Soon, someone shouted from the crowd. They've already exchanged more than 100 moves. What? Senior brother Yu Chun actually survived 100 moves, and he still looks like he can keep fighting. Many Heavenly Gang disciples were stunned. One even muttered bitterly, if I fought senior brother Yu Chun, I'd probably lose instantly. The realization shocked everyone. A soul realm cultivator capable of overwhelming Heavenly Gang disciples. Such a genius had never appeared in Taishan sect before. Fear in the crowd. Among the disciples, Li Yunfei stood pale. Cold sweat covered his forehead. He stared at Yu Chun with fear. My God, what if Yu Chun comes after me? I'm finished. His voice trembled. After today, Yu Chun's prestige within the sect would skyrocket. If Yu Chun merely expressed dissatisfaction with him, many powerful disciples would be willing to deal with Li Yunfei. The thought sent chills down his spine. The final move. Inside the arena, Yu Chun calmly looked at Li Bufan. A faint smile appeared on his face. Senior brother Li, 100 moves have passed. I still have one final technique. Please give me your guidance. In truth, Yu Chen's spiritual energy was nearly exhausted. The 12 swords had also consumed a large amount of stored spiritual power. There was no need to prolong the fight. Li Bufan nodded respectfully. Very well. Please show me your move, junior brother Yu Chun. His tone had completely changed. The earlier arrogance was gone. Now there was only respect. Blood God Slash. Yu Chun slowly raised his sword. This technique is called Blood God Slash. It was a heaven-grade, low-level martial art. Combined with Nirvana Sword intent, its destructive power became even more terrifying. Yu Chun had never used this move in battle before, but today, he would show it to the entire sect. Crimson Sky. Suddenly, the sky above Tai Xian sect turned crimson. A blood-red light covered the clouds. A terrifying, killing aura descended from the heavens. The entire sect trembled. Many disciples shivered uncontrollably. My heavens! This aura is terrifying. I feel like I can't even breathe. The killing intent felt like a sea of blood. Even the elders were stunned. In the sky above the arena, a gigantic crimson sword energy formed. Then it descended toward Li Bufan with unstoppable force. Chapter 50. We pledge loyalty to the Holy Sun. Li Fifan's expression turned extremely serious. He could clearly feel how terrifying the aura in front of him had become. Yu Chen's strike contained immense destructive force. The heaven-grade low-tier martial art combined with the Nirvana Sword intent had consumed nearly all of Yu Chen's spiritual energy in one attack. A deafening roar echoed across the arena. Boom! Thunder rumbled above as Li Fifan drew his sword. A chilling flash of light burst forth. Wind and cloud, 3 swords. Final form. This technique was a heaven-grade martial art of the Taishan sect, famous for its explosive speed and destructive power. When activated, the sword energy merged with the forces of wind and cloud, making the strike almost impossible to evade. The surrounding disciples stared with wide eyes. Shock filled their faces. Good heavens, this battle is unbelievable. Senior brother Yu Chen's attack is actually on par with senior brother Li, a golden core cultivator displaying such power. This is unimaginable. Across the entire Tianwu continent, who could rival such talent? Gasps echoed everywhere. Everyone felt the overwhelming pressure coming from the arena. Then, boom, the two terrifying sword energies collided. A violent vortex of sword chi exploded into existence. Within dozens of meters, sword energy tore through the air, slicing everything apart. Even the surrounding space seemed to distort under the immense power. Some disciples with weaker cultivation bases were blown backward by the shockwave. Fear filled their hearts. Even the elders watching from the high platform looked stunned. Sect Master Mo Ming could not help but sigh. For someone so young to reach this level. Another massive explosion followed. Boom, boom. The stone floor beneath the two cultivators cracked and collapsed, forming a deep crater. Dust and shattered debris filled the arena. For a moment, no one could see clearly. The entire training ground fell into complete silence. Every disciple held their breath. After several seconds, the dust gradually settled. 2 figures appeared in the center of the destroyed arena. Yu Chun and Li Fifan both stood there with swords in hand. However, Yu Chen's spiritual energy had already been completely exhausted. Yet he remained calm, even wearing a faint smile. Li Fifan looked at him deeply. Then suddenly, he sheathed his sword and cupped his hands respectfully. Junior brother Yu Chun, I admit defeat. The words shocked everyone. A Heavenly Gang Realm expert had just acknowledged defeat to a Golden Core cultivator. Li Fifan spoke again. If this battle continued, you would certainly lose due to exhaustion. But the fact that you endured 100 exchanges against me already proves your strength. You are only at the Golden Core realm. If news of this spreads, the entire continent will be shaken. Yu Chun simply smiled. Senior brotherly overpraises me. Your strength is extraordinary. Had we fought longer, defeat would surely be mine. Hearing this humble response, Li Fifan felt even more impressed. Such talent, such composure, such humility. If someone like Yu Chun did not become the holy son of the Taishan sect, who else could? At that moment, a decision formed in Li Fifan's mind. His eyes burned with determination. Without hesitation, he stepped forward, then knelt down in front of Yu Chun. Li Fifan was narrow-minded earlier and doubted junior brother's ability. but today's battle has opened my eyes. Your talent is unmatched. In the future, you will undoubtedly shake the entire world. The position of Holy Sun belongs to you alone. I am willing to serve as your blade and pioneer. I pledge my loyalty to the Holy Sun. Silence filled the arena. Then chaos erupted. Everyone was stunned. A core disciple, personally taught by the sect master, had just knelt in front of Yuchun. This is unbelievable. Senior brother Li actually knelt. He's acknowledging the future ruler of the sect. No, he's acknowledging a future supreme powerhouse. Excited whispers spread among the disciples. High on the platform, sect master Mo Ming smiled faintly. Good. He finally understood. Yuchun glanced calmly at the countless disciples below the arena. Then he spoke slowly. Does anyone object? His voice was calm, yet it carried an invisible pressure that filled the entire training ground. No one dared to respond. Instead, one by one, the disciples began to kneel. Outer sect disciples, inner sect disciples, core disciples, even elite disciples lowered themselves respectfully. A massive wave of voices erupted. We greet the Holy Sun. We greet the Holy Sun. We greet the Holy Sun. The thunderous shouts spread across the entire Taishan sect. Everyone acknowledged Yuchun's position. Even Li Yunfei hurriedly knelt down. His face was pale with fear. If Yuchun wished, removing him from the sect would be effortless. So he shouted louder than anyone else. Yuchun ignored him. Instead, he slowly stepped forward. A powerful aura arose from his body. Cold energy surrounded him. Sword intent surged into the sky. Countless strands of terrifying aura swirled around him. His gaze looked toward the heavens. His voice echoed across the sect. From this day onward, I, Yuchun, shall be the Holy Sun of the Taishan sect. If I live, the Taishan sect will prosper for eternity. As long as I remain, this sect will stand unrivaled beneath the heavens. Just as his words fell, the sky suddenly darkened. Thunder roared. A bolt of lightning split the clouds. Violent winds swept across the sect. Yuchun's black robes fluttered violently in the wind. His long black hair danced wildly behind him. Under the stormy sky, he appeared like a peerless ruler overlooking the world. His purple eyes remained calm and confident, as if everything he said was simply a fact. At that moment, the disciples below knelt once more. Their voices shook the heavens. We are willing to follow the Holy Sun. We are willing to follow the Holy Sun. We pledge loyalty to the Holy Sun. The overwhelming sound shattered the clouds above. From that day forward, a new legend began in the Taishan sect. The Holy Sun of Taishan sect. Yuchun. Chapter 51. Protecting the greatest Holy Sun under heaven. In less than half an hour, Yuchun had completely conquered the hearts of the entire Taishan sect. Every disciple looked at him with burning admiration. Their gazes were almost fanatical. To them, Yuchun was no longer just a genius disciple. He was a symbol of the sect's future. On the main platform, sect master Mo Ming could hardly hide his joy. His smile stretched from ear to ear. Originally, he had only valued Yuchun for his unparalleled cultivation talent. But today, he discovered something even more valuable. Yuchun possessed a natural ability to unite people. Talent, character, strategy. Every aspect of him was extraordinary. He truly is the most suitable candidate for Holy Sun. Mo Ming muttered to himself. Nearby, two pairs of beautiful eyes were fixed on Yuchun. They belonged to Gu Shiran and Chu Xian. Gu Shiran's expression was calm, but deep inside, she felt extremely surprised. This troublesome disciple, he actually possesses such capability. She softly murmured. Among everyone in the Taishan sect, she believed she understood Yuchun the best. After all, the two had spent countless days together. Yet today's Holy Sun selection once again refreshed her understanding of him. This disciple of hers was far more extraordinary than she had imagined. Behind her, Chu Xian's bright eyes shimmered. When she looked at Yuchun standing proudly in the arena, her cheeks slightly flushed. As expected of my junior brother, he really is unique. Chu Xian smiled faintly. Her heart was filled with pride. At this moment, sect master Mo Ming stepped forward. His voice echoed across the entire training ground. This sect master officially announces, from this day forward, Yuchun is the Holy Sun of the Taishan sect. The announcement caused waves of excitement among the disciples. Mo Ming continued. On the 8th day of next month, the Holy Sun investiture ceremony will be held. All major forces across the Tianwu continent will be invited to witness the ceremony. The Holy Sun ceremony was extremely important. The Taishan sect was one of the 5 great sacred lands of the continent. Its Holy Sun represented the future sect master. Naturally, such an event had to be grand. Hearing this, all disciples respectfully bowed. We obey, sect master. At that moment, a familiar mechanical voice suddenly echoed in Yu Chen's mind. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the achievement, shocking the entire sect. You have gained the following rewards. Pill Condensation Art, Immortal Rank Technique, Linglong Emperor Scripture, Emperor Grade Cultivation Method, Myriad Sound Holy Body, Transferable Physique. Yu Chen's eyes lit up slightly. These rewards are quite generous. However, this was not the place to check them. Soon afterward, the disciples gradually dispersed. Sect Master Mo Ming walked toward Yu Chen and patted his shoulder heavily. Yu Chen, you did very well today. From now on, the future of the Taishan sect will depend on you. Yu Chen smiled calmly. I understand, Sect Master. The surrounding Peak Lords all nodded approvingly. Even Wang Qingyun, the Peak Lord of Bibo Peak, remained silent. She no longer dared show any hostility. The talent Yu Chen had displayed was simply terrifying. If he continued to grow without falling, reaching the Saint Realm would only be a matter of time. Becoming enemies with such a person would be foolish. However, Wang Qingyun's mind was extremely conflicted. Should I apologize? But I'm a Peak Lord. Apologizing to a junior in front of everyone is embarrassing. But he's the Holy Son now. His status is even higher than mine. Her thoughts became tangled. If she didn't repair their relationship now, what would happen after Yu Chen became a Saint Realm expert? Just imagining it made her uneasy. At that moment, Yu Chen noticed her troubled expression. A faint smile appeared on his lips. There was no deep hatred between them, and Wang Qingyun was still a supreme realm powerhouse. Such a person could become a valuable ally. After thinking for a moment, Yu Chen suddenly spoke. Peak Lord Wang. Everyone turned to look. Yu Chen smiled gently. There seems to have been some misunderstanding between me and Bibo Peak. In a few days, I plan to visit Bibo Peak to resolve it. I wonder if Peak Lord Wang would welcome me. Everyone froze. Wang Qingyun herself was completely stunned. Then, her eyes almost became wet with emotion. This holy son is too considerate. Not only did he resolve the conflict, he also preserved her dignity. Such words were delivered perfectly. Magnanimity, wisdom, emotional intelligence. Absolutely flawless. In that moment, Wang Qingyun's impression of Yu Chen skyrocketed. If anyone dared oppose him in the future, she would be the first to stand against them. Of course you are welcome. Bibo Peak will gladly receive the Holy Son. If you come, I will personally welcome you. Her smile was extremely sincere. Yu Chen nodded slightly. Then I thank Peak Lord Wang. No need to thank me, Holy Son. Wang Qingyun responded respectfully. From her tone alone, one could hear the difference. Watching this scene, Sect Master Mo Ming secretly chuckled. Excellent. This boy truly understands leadership. He cleared his throat. All right, everyone may return. Yu Chen, don't forget the Holy Sun ceremony next month. Yu Chen nodded. I won't forget. Soon afterward, the Peak Lords left. Yu Chen followed Gu Shiran and Chu Xian back toward Lingyun Peak. On the way, Gu Shiran suddenly spoke. You didn't need to bother with Wang Qingyun earlier. With me around, she wouldn't dare harm you. Yu Chen smiled. His master really was cold on the outside, but caring on the inside. I wasn't afraid of her. Master embarrassed her in front of the whole sect earlier. So, I simply gave her away to save face. If someone is slapped first and then given kindness, they will become loyal. Gu Shiran, Chu Xian. The two women looked at Yu Chen with strange expressions. Slap first, reward later? What kind of strategy is that? Gu Shiran narrowed her eyes slightly. Her gaze became meaningful. This disciple of mine, he's practically a little fox. If Wang Qingyun wasn't careful, she would eventually be completely controlled by Yu Chen, and might even thank him for it. Chapter 52, The Formation of 9 Dantians. Standing nearby, Chu Xian suddenly widened her eyes in realization. She looked at Yu Chen with admiration written all over her face. Junior brother, you're really incredible. How does your mind even work like that? She shook her head while clicking her tongue in amazement. Good thing we're on the same side. If we were enemies, I'd probably get sold by you one day and still help count the money. Chu Xian laughed as she spoke, but her gaze toward Yu Chen had clearly changed. If he were an opponent instead of her junior brother, dealing with him would truly be terrifying. Yu Chen only smiled faintly and said nothing. Soon after, the three of them returned to Lingyun Peak. Gu Shiran glanced at the two disciples before speaking calmly. I will enter seclusion for some time. I must prepare for a breakthrough. Her eyes landed on Chu Xian. Chu Xian, while I am in seclusion, you must watch over your junior brother. Make sure nothing unexpected happens. Chu Xian immediately froze. Then her expression filled with shock. Master, are you preparing to break through to the Saint Realm? Gu Shiran nodded slightly. Seeing this confirmation, Chu Xian nearly jumped in excitement. A Saint Realm Master. That's incredible. Even within the Taishan sect, Saint Realm experts were extremely rare. If Gu Shiran succeeded, Ling Yun peak status would rise dramatically. Yu Chun, however, remained calm. He had already guessed this outcome. After all, he had personally given Gu Shiran the Saint Breakthrough Pill. With a pill that guaranteed success, there was almost no chance of failure. Of course, if something truly unexpected happened, Yu Chun wouldn't necessarily consider it a bad thing. A faint smile briefly appeared on his lips. After giving a few final instructions, Gu Shiran returned to her cultivation cave. Breaking through to the Saint realm required perfect preparation. Even with a breakthrough pill, one still had to stabilize their state to ensure a flawless advancement. Afterward, Yu Chun chatted briefly with Chu Xian before returning to his own residence. Once inside, his expression turned excited. System, display the rewards, Yu Chun said with a grin. Immediately, a translucent interface appeared before him. Reward list. Condensing core art, immortal rank. A cultivation method that allows the practitioner to open additional dantions. Up to 8 new dantions can be formed, creating 9 dantions in total and granting immense reserves of spiritual energy. Linglong Emperor Scripture, Emperor Grade. A top-tier cultivation technique designed for female cultivators. Myriad Sound Holy Body. A charm-type physique that greatly enhances cultivation techniques related to sound and musical instruments. Can be transferred to another person. Yu Chen's eyes lit up. The Linglong Emperor Scripture and Myriad Sound Holy Body were impressive, but the one that truly excited him was the first reward. Condensing core art. This technique could allow him to cultivate 9 dantians inside his body. For cultivators, the dantian was the foundation of power. Opening 9 of them meant his spiritual energy reserves would become unimaginably vast. During his battle with Li Fifan earlier, Yu Chen's problem had not been attack power or defense. It was simply energy consumption. Li Fifan was a heavenly gang realm cultivator, while Yu Chun was still at the golden core realm. The difference in spiritual energy reserves between the two was enormous. But if he possessed 9 dantians, his spiritual energy might even rival that of heavenly gang experts. Such a technique is simply heaven-defying. Yu Chun smiled. Of course, there was also a drawback. Cultivating with 9 dantians meant that every breakthrough would require 9 times the resources. However, Yu Chun didn't care. As the holy son of the Taishan sect, he would never lack cultivation resources. Without hesitation, he immediately began cultivating the condensing core art. The process was far more difficult than he expected. After all, it was an immortal rank cultivation method. Opening additional dantians inside the body required immense precision and endurance. Even worse, the pain was extraordinary. It felt like tearing open one's own meridians. Yet Yu Chun gritted his teeth and endured. Pain is temporary, but the reward is permanent. Time slowly passed. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. For 3 entire days, Yu Chun focused completely on cultivation. Inside his body, 8 newly formed dantians had already appeared. Each one was identical in size. Each one contained vast amounts of spiritual energy. Only the final dantian remains. Yu Chun took a deep breath. As long as I succeed, my spiritual energy will become nearly limitless. He concentrated again. A surge of spiritual energy flooded into his body. Under Yu Chen's precise control, the final dantian slowly began to form. The process was extremely delicate. If the structure collapsed even slightly, the dantian could explode and destroy his meridians. Sweat slowly rolled down Yu Chen's forehead, but he remained focused. After 15 minutes, boom, a powerful wave of spiritual energy burst from his body. The entire Lingyun peak trembled slightly. Yu Chen suddenly opened his eyes. It's finished. He looked inward with his spiritual sense. Inside his body, 9 dantians floated within his meridian system. The original dantian sat at the center. The other 8 surrounded it like stars orbiting a sun. Together, they formed a mysterious circulation system. Spiritual energy flowed continuously between them. Endless, unceasing. Yu Chen smiled. As expected of an immortal rank technique. Across the entire Tianwu continent, no one had likely even imagined such a cultivation method. Yet Yu Chun had successfully mastered it. His spiritual energy reserves, despite only being in the golden core realm, were now comparable to a heavenly gang cultivator. Truly terrifying. Just then, the communication jade slip at his waist suddenly vibrated. Yu Chun raised an eyebrow. It's a message from Limushi. He checked the contents. A smile slowly appeared on his face. Back in the Dan Emperor's secret realm, Yu Chun had used a special technique to place Limushi under his control. Her talent was extraordinary. With proper cultivation, she could become a valuable subordinate. The message read, 2 candidate saintesses of the Charmed Demon sect will gather in Xianyue City tomorrow to seize a treasure. I request Master's assistance. Yu Chun chuckled. The so-called treasure in Xianyue City was actually a rumor he had deliberately spread through Limushi. The purpose was simple: lure the enemies into a trap. The fish have taken the bait. Yuchen stood up. His strength had just increased dramatically. This was the perfect time to test it. But for such an outing, he naturally had to invite someone. A playful smile appeared on his face. Looks like it's time to bring my dear senior sister along. Chapter 53. Bestowing the myriad sound holy body. Junior brother, why exactly did we come here? Chu Xian asked curiously while standing on the spirit boat. The flying vessel cut through the clouds as it traveled away from the Taishin sect. Yuchen stood calmly at the bow of the boat and smiled faintly. There are few people who need to disappear. Chu Xian raised an eyebrow. Disappear? Then she laughed casually. Oh, so it's just killing people. That's simple. She stretched lazily. If there's one thing your senior sister is good at, it's that. Chu Xian spoke with absolute confidence. In battle, she was ruthless. Back when she was in the King realm, she could already dominate enemies. Now that she had advanced into the Emperor realm, her strength had increased tremendously. Yuchen simply nodded with a faint smile. He naturally trusted his senior sister's combat ability. Even if the opponents were the saintest candidates of the Charmed Demon sect, they would not be able to resist Chu Xian. By evening, the spirit boat slowly descended outside Xinhua City. The moment they landed, a young woman in a purple dress hurried over. Her figure was graceful, her eyes charming, and every movement radiated alluring elegance. The woman immediately bowed. Greetings, master. Yuchen smiled slightly. Rise. There is no need to be so formal. The woman who had come to welcome them was Limushi. Thank you, master. Limushi stood respectfully beside him with a gentle smile. Chu Xian narrowed her eyes slightly. She recognized this woman. Back in the Dan Emperor's secret realm, Limushi had been one of the saintest candidates of the Charmed Demon sect. Her status was extremely high, yet now she was standing beside Yuchen like a loyal subordinate. Chu Xian looked at Yuchen in surprise. Junior brother, what exactly is going on? Yuchen spoke calmly. Mushi has already sworn loyalty to me. Limushi lowered her head respectfully. I will serve master for the rest of my life. Chu Xian blinked in disbelief. Wait, the saintest candidate of the Charmed Demon sect. Working for you? She suddenly felt like she could no longer see through her own junior brother. Yuchen continued casually. The reason we came here is simple. The other two saintest candidates of the Charmed Demon sect will arrive tomorrow. If they die, Mushi will naturally become the only remaining candidate, and eventually the next sect leader. Chu Xian froze. Her junior brother's plans were far deeper than she expected. The holy son of Taishin sect was already planting influence inside another major sect. Chu Xian swallowed quietly. Fortunately, they were on the same side. Otherwise, she might one day die without even realizing what happened. Yuchen looked at her and smiled. Senior sister, killing a few people isn't a problem, right? Chu Xian coughed lightly. Of course not. If you want them dead, they won't live past tomorrow. Yuchen nodded. Good. Let's enter the city. Limushi had already prepared a secluded courtyard for them. She had secretly traveled to Xinhua City under the pretense of cultivation retreat. After entering the courtyard, the three separated to rest. Night gradually fell. Inside Yuchen's room, the door quietly opened. Limushi slipped inside with a faint smile. Earlier, Yuchen had secretly asked her to visit him tonight. She approached slowly. Master, I'm here. Yuchen sat calmly in meditation. Come here. Limushi blinked with curiosity. Master, do you need something? Her tone was soft and respectful. Yuchen simply gestured. Lie down. Limushi froze. Her cheeks turned slightly red. Still, she obediently laid down as instructed. Yuchen shook his head slightly at her expression. What are you thinking about? Focus your mind. Clear your thoughts. Limushi quickly composed herself and followed his instructions. Then, Yuchen placed a hand gently on her abdomen. System. Infuse the myriad sound holy body. A moment later, the system responded. The transfer began. A gentle wave of energy flowed from Yuchen's palm into Limushi's body. Warm currents spread through her meridians. Her bones, blood, and spiritual veins all began undergoing subtle transformation. Limushi's eyes widened in shock. What is this power? Her entire body felt incredibly light. A mysterious resonance began forming within her meridians. It was as if countless invisible musical notes were echoing through her spiritual sea. The myriad sound holy body was a saint-grade physique. For cultivators specializing in charm techniques and sound-based martial arts, it was an unimaginable treasure. Yuchen had little use for it, but for Limushi, it was a perfect match. A powerful surge of spiritual energy erupted within her body. Her aura began rising rapidly. Meridians expanded. Her talent was transforming. Limushi felt as if her entire being was being reborn. This is... Her voice trembled. She finally realized what Yuchen had done. He had just granted her a saint-grade physique. And with that, her future path in cultivation had completely changed. Chapter 54. The Reward of the Master. What is happening to me? Li Mushi's eyes widened in shock as waves of unfamiliar energy flowed through her body. The sensation was both warm and powerful. Yuchen remained silent. The myriad sound holy body was still being infused into her body through the system's power. As the transformation progressed, Li Mushi gradually began to feel pain spreading through her meridians. Her bones trembled. Her spiritual veins expanded. The process felt like her entire body was being reshaped. Yet Li Mushi clenched her teeth and endured the pain. She trusted Yu Chun completely. Even if she didn't understand what was happening, she believed one thing. Her master would never harm her. Half an hour later, the energy slowly faded. Yu Chun withdrew his hand. All right, you can get up. Li Mushi sat up slowly, breathing slightly heavily from the intense transformation. Her cheeks were flushed, but when she examined her cultivation level, she froze. Her eyes widened in disbelief. I broke through. I'm already in the heavenly gang realm. Her voice trembled. Just yesterday, she had been stuck at the soul realm late stage. Breaking through to the heavenly gang realm would normally require years of cultivation. Yet tonight, she had crossed the barrier in a single step. Even more shocking was the strange power circulating inside her body. It felt mysterious and profound. Yuchen watched her calmly. I've given you a new physique. It's called the Myriad Sound Holy Body. It's a saint-grade physique that perfectly matches charm techniques and sound-based martial arts. Li Mushi stared at him blankly. Saint-grade? Her mind almost went blank. Such physiques were legendary. Even within the entire Tianwu continent, they were incredibly rare. Even Saint Realm experts could not casually grant such power to others. Yet Yu Chun had done it as if it were nothing. Master, is it really a saint-grade physique? Her voice trembled slightly. Yu Chun nodded. Of course. With it, your cultivation speed will greatly increase. If you cultivate properly, reaching the king realm will not be difficult. Hearing this, Li Mushi felt a wave of excitement surge through her heart. A king realm cultivator, for someone like her, that had once been an unimaginable dream. Without hesitation, she knelt before Yu Chun. Her eyes glowed with devotion. Thank you, Master. I swear to follow you with absolute loyalty. I will never betray you. Because of the myriad sound holy body, Li Mushi's natural charm had become even stronger. Her voice sounded soft and mesmerizing. Yu Chun smiled slightly. He had chosen to cultivate Li Mushi not only because of her talent, but also because she was intelligent. In the future, she could become a powerful piece in his plans. Go back and stabilize your realm. Yu Chun waved his hand casually. However, Li Mushi slowly stood up and moved closer to him. Her eyes were like silk, full of alluring charm. Master, you have given me such a great gift. I don't know how to repay you. Her voice became softer. Perhaps. She looked at him meaningfully. Yu Chun immediately understood her intention. He lightly tapped her forehead. Not yet. The Charm Demon sect has strict rules. Saintess candidates must remain pure. If you lose that purity, your qualification will be revoked. Li Mushi froze. Then she remembered the rule. A playful smile appeared on her lips. Then, I'll wait until I become the Saintess. Yu Chun laughed lightly. Good. Now go. Li Mushi finally left the room, feeling extremely satisfied. Although she had grown up within the Charm Demon sect, she had never experienced such matters before. But she learned very quickly. Her comprehension ability was surprisingly good. The next morning, Yu Chun woke up feeling refreshed. Today's task was simple. Eliminate Li Mushi's two rivals. After breakfast, Yu Chun, Chu Xian, and Li Mushi headed toward the mountains outside Xinhua City. According to the rumor, a mysterious treasure had appeared in the forest. Of course, that rumor had been deliberately spread by Yu Chun. Deep inside the forest, two figures waited impatiently. Sume frowned slightly. We've been waiting here the entire day. Why hasn't the treasure appeared yet? Behind her stood an elderly woman. Her aura was powerful. She was a king realm protector. Her spiritual sense scanned the surrounding forest. Yet she found nothing unusual. This rumor might be false. Sume's expression darkened. But at that moment, a gentle voice sounded from behind them. Oh, senior sister Sume, what a coincidence. Sume turned around immediately. A beautiful woman walked out from the trees. It was Li Ilian, another saintess candidate of the Charm Demon sect. Both women were at the Heavenly Gang realm mid-stage. They had been rivals for years. Seeing her, Sume's expression instantly turned cold. Why are you here? Li Ilian smiled calmly. For the same reason as you. Sume gritted her teeth. She had hoped to secretly obtain the treasure first. If she offered it to the sect, her position as saintess would be secured. But now Li Ilian had appeared. Just then, Another voice echoed through the forest. Oh, it seems both senior sisters have arrived. Su Mei and Li Ilian were stunned. They turned around. From the bushes, a familiar figure slowly walked out. Li Mushi. Both women sneered when they saw her. Junior sister Li, you came here for the treasure as well. With your strength. Su Mei laughed coldly. You should go home before you embarrass yourself. Li Ilian nodded mockingly. Even if a treasure appears, it has nothing to do with you. But Li Mushi suddenly began laughing. Her laughter echoed through the forest. Oh, senior sisters, I really don't know whether you are naive or simply foolish. She crossed her arms and smiled. You don't really believe there's a treasure here, do you? Her eyes turned cold. You two idiots. Chapter 55, Two Fools. Su Mei, Li Ilian. The two women looked at each other in confusion. Their minds were completely blank. What was Li Mushi talking about? No treasure? For a moment, neither of them could understand her words. Li Mushi let out a soft laugh and slowly stepped forward. A cold light flashed in her eyes. The so-called secret treasure, she said calmly, was only bait. Bait meant to lure two fools into this forest. Her gaze swept across Su Mei and Li Ilian. As long as you two disappear, the position of Saintess of the Charm Demon sect will naturally fall into my hands. Her lips curved into a faint smile, but the indifference in her eyes was unmistakable. Su Mei and Li Ilian inhaled sharply. Shock filled their expressions. Everything was a trap, and the mastermind was their seemingly harmless junior sister. Su Mei suddenly sneered. Junior sister Li, your plan is clever, she said mockingly. But unfortunately, schemes mean nothing without strength. She crossed her arms and looked down on Li Mushi. Not only will you fail to kill us today, you might even die here. Li Ilian also laughed lightly. Exactly. You think a little trick can overcome the gap in strength. Both of them were Heavenly Gang Realm mid-stage cultivators. Each of them also had a King Realm protector secretly guarding them. Compared to them, Li Mushi had always been the weakest Saintess candidate. Even if she laid a trap, what did she possibly do? In this world, only strength determined everything. Li Mushi listened quietly. Then she smiled. But this time, her smile contained open disdain. Really, senior sisters, aren't you celebrating a little too early? If I didn't have confidence in killing you, why would I bother setting up such a trap? Her words made both women stiffen. A bad feeling suddenly rose in their hearts. That was true. Li Mushi was not stupid. Without absolute confidence, she would never dare to challenge them both at once. But where could her support possibly come from? Just as the two were thinking, two figures slowly walked out from the dense forest. A man and a woman. The man had calm eyes and relaxed posture. The woman beside him was elegant and cold, her aura deep and unfathomable. The moment they appeared, everyone's attention was drawn to them. Li Mushi smiled slightly. She stepped beside the man and spoke proudly. With my master here, you two fools never had a chance. Her gaze became cold. Now, tell me, how do you want to die? In her eyes, Su Mei and Li Ilian were already dead. The moment Yu Chun and Chu Xian appeared, Su Mei and Li Ilian immediately became cautious. Their protectors also stepped forward. Li Mushi, Su Mei shouted angrily. You actually colluded with outsiders to murder fellow disciples. This is a capital crime in the Charm Demon sect. Li Ilian also shouted nervously. When we return to the sect, we will report everything to the sect master. You're finished. Li Mushi simply smiled without answering. Yu Chun, however, chuckled softly. His eyes were filled with cold indifference. Return to the sect? He shook his head. I'm afraid you won't have that chance. Then he turned his head slightly. Senior sister, leave it to you. Chu Xian nodded calmly. All right. The moment her voice fell, her figure disappeared instantly. The two King Realm protectors reacted immediately and rushed forward to block her. But the moment they exchanged blows, their expressions changed drastically. Their eyes widened in horror. This pressure. Impossible. This is Emperor Realm aura. The two old women were completely stunned. But it was already too late. Chu Xian did not hold back. Her fist struck forward. A terrifying force exploded like a tidal wave. Boom. The two King Realm experts were instantly blasted backward. They spat blood midair. Their bodies crashed into the ground, and their life force vanished completely. They died instantly. Silence filled the forest. Su Mei and Li Ilian stood frozen. Their mouths hung open. Their minds were completely blank. Two King Realm cultivators, dead in a single move. Was this a nightmare? An overwhelming fear instantly swallowed their hearts. If King Realm experts died so easily, what chance did they have? The answer was obvious. None. Yu Chun looked at them calmly and smiled faintly. Now, it's your turn. The two women looked at each other. Without hesitation, they immediately knelt on the ground. My lord, please spare us. We were wrong. We are willing to serve you from now on. Su Mei spoke in panic. Li Ilian quickly added. Yes, whatever Li Mushi can do, we can also do. We will obey any order, as long as you spare our lives. The proud Saintess candidates were now trembling like frightened animals. They didn't care about the sect anymore. Survival was all that mattered. Yuchan watched them quietly. Then he smiled slightly. Oh, and what can you two do that she cannot? Sume hurriedly said. This humble one is willing to serve you day and night. Li Ilian nodded repeatedly. You could treat me like a servant, or even like a dog. I will obey everything. Both women had decent looks and practiced charm techniques. Ordinary men would have long been tempted, but Yuchan only glanced at them briefly. Then he shook his head. Unfortunately, you're not good enough. His voice was calm. I'm not interested. He turned toward Chu Xian, senior's sister. End it. The two women's faces instantly turned pale. Despair filled their eyes. Before they could beg again, Chu Xian raised her palm. Two bursts of terrifying power descended. Boom! The two Saintess candidates were instantly turned into lifeless corpses. Li Mushi watched the scene. Excitement flashed through her eyes. Although Yu Chun had promised to remove her competitors, seeing it happen with her own eyes still made her heart tremble. Yu Chun stepped forward calmly. Dark flames suddenly appeared in his hand. It was the 9 nether bone spirit flame, a terrifying heaven-grade flame technique. He flicked his fingers lightly. The black fire fell onto the corpses. In an instant, everything was reduced to ashes. No trace remained. When people died, the dead told no tales. Even if someone suspected something, who would dare challenge Yu Chun? Behind him stood the terrifying Taishian sect, and his senior sister was an Emperor realm expert. Yu Chun turned toward Li Mushi. Your two greatest rivals are gone. The Saintess position is now within reach. But the final step, you must complete it yourself. This is also my test for you. Li Mushi immediately bowed respectfully. I will not disappoint you, master. Yu Chun nodded with satisfaction. The sky was already growing dark. It was time to return. After all, Chu Xian was about to break through to the Saint Realm. And as her most trusted companion, Yu Chun naturally had to witness that moment. Chapter 56, Master's Breakthrough, and a dangerous obsession. Yu Chun and Chu Xian soon left the forest. Standing alone among the silent trees, Li Mushi watched their departing figures. A determined smile appeared on her lips. Her eyes were filled with loyalty and ambition. Master, I will definitely become the sharpest blade in your hands. Her voice was soft but firm. From this moment onward, her goal became crystal clear. To stand at the very top of the Charm Demon sect and serve Yu Chun alone. Taishian sect. Back at the Taishian sect, something extraordinary was happening on Lingyun Peak. Massive amounts of spiritual qi surged from every direction. Normally, the spiritual energy within Lingyun Peak was already extremely dense. But today, it had become dozens of times richer. The spiritual energy condensed so heavily that it almost looked like mist. A gigantic vortex of spiritual energy formed above a cultivation chamber. Dark clouds gathered in the sky. The entire peak was covered in an ominous shadow. The atmosphere felt like the world itself was trembling. Yu Chun stood outside the cave dwelling and looked at the sky with excitement. Master is finally breaking through. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time. His master, Shiran, had been stuck at the Supreme Realm for many years. Now she was finally stepping toward the Saint Realm. Once she succeeded, her strength would rise to an entirely new level. A Saint Realm cultivator was an existence capable of dominating entire regions. Even Supreme Realm experts were insignificant before such power. Beside Yu Chun, Chu Xian was also staring at the sky. Her usually calm eyes showed a hint of surprise. Then, a bolt of purple tribulation lightning suddenly condensed in the clouds. Boom! The lightning crashed down toward Lingyun Peak. At that exact moment, the door of the cave dwelling opened. Shiran stepped out. She wore a flowing white robe. The fabric moved gently in a strong wind like drifting clouds. Her long black hair fluttered behind her. Her skin looked like flawless jade beneath the lightning. Her eyes were cold and deep like a star-filled night sky. Facing the terrifying lightning, she simply raised her hand. With a casual strike of sword energy, the lightning shattered instantly. But this was only the beginning. Soon, dozens of lightning bolts descended from the sky. Thunder roared. Lightning illuminated the entire Taishian sect. Countless disciples looked up in shock. Shiran showed no fear. Her body rose gracefully into the sky. Her aura expanded rapidly. The terrifying pressure made many disciples unable to breathe. She raised her sword. Falling feather sword. This was a saint-grade sword technique. A dazzling sword light slashed across the sky. Boom! The incoming lightning shattered into countless fragments. The power of the tribulation could not stop her. Below, the disciples were in chaos. What's happening? Why is Fairy Chiron facing lightning tribulation? Could it be she's breaking through to the saint realm? My heavens! If she succeeds, our Taishian sect will gain another saint. The entire sect erupted in shock. Inside the main peak hall, the sect master Mo Ming also saw the lightning tribulation. His face lit up with excitement. Junior sister is breaking through. This is wonderful news. Without hesitation, he flew toward Lingyun Peak. Soon, several peak masters also arrived. Among them was Wang Qingyun. Her expression was complicated. She had always considered Chiron a rival. But now, Chiron was about to become a Saint Realm expert. The difference between them had become as vast as heaven and earth. Wang Qingyun no longer dared harbor any competitive thoughts. High in the sky, Chiron continued fighting the tribulation. The lightning storms lasted nearly half an hour, but she endured them all. Finally, the dark clouds began to disperse. The lightning slowly faded. The tribulation was ending. Yuchen looked toward Chu Xian. Senior sister, is Master about to finish? Chu Xian shook her head slightly. Not yet. The lightning tribulation is only the first step. The most dangerous stage is the heart demon tribulation. Yuchen blinked. Heart demon, Chu Xian explained calmly. When breaking into the saint realm, cultivators must face the deepest desires and obsessions within their hearts. If they fail to overcome it, they will fall into madness. But Master has always been detached from worldly emotions. A mere heart demon tribulation shouldn't trouble her. However, at that moment, Chiron suddenly froze in midair. Her eyes closed. She had entered an illusion. Inside the illusion, she found herself back in her cave dwelling. Everything felt incredibly real. A familiar figure lay on the bed. It was Yuchen. He smiled gently and waved toward her. Master, come here. I missed you. Chiron's cold expression softened instantly. Yuchen. She slowly walked toward him. The illusionary Yuchen wrapped his arms around her waist. Master, don't leave me again. I can't live without you. His voice was warm and gentle. Chiron felt her heart tremble. Don't worry. Master will never leave you. Scene after scene appeared in her mind. Memories with Yuchen. Moments they spent together. Those memories became stronger and stronger, like chains binding her heart. Yuchen, Master missed you so much. In the real world, her body remained motionless. Below, Chu Xian frowned slightly. This is strange. How could Master be trapped in the heart demon tribulation? Even Mo Ming looked confused. But Yuchen suddenly realized something. He had a bad feeling. The illusion probably centered around him. Just as everyone was worrying, Chiron suddenly opened her eyes. Boom! A terrifying aura erupted from her body. Her hair fluttered wildly in the wind. A sacred pressure filled the sky. Her cultivation had transformed. Saint Realm. She had succeeded. The disciples of Taishian sect immediately knelt down. Greetings, Saint. Greetings, Saint. Even the peak masters bowed respectfully. Only Yuchen remained standing. He was about to kneel as well. After all, she was his master. But suddenly, a gentle force lifted his body, preventing him from kneeling. Yuchen looked up. Their eyes met. Chiron's gaze was filled with an intense affection. So intense it almost felt frightening. Yuchen's heart skipped a beat. Something felt very wrong. Her eyes were full of possessiveness, as if she was afraid he might disappear. Yuchen swallowed nervously. Oh no, he muttered quietly. It seems Master didn't completely defeat her heart demon. And now, she looks a little. Yandra,